This is a conversation between Destiny and SNEAKO. I've been trying to have a conversation with SNEAKO. Probably isn't gonna happen, but you know, that's life. Am I right, brothers? He's been on his BS, bro. He's got this. I really am so tired of this high value male nonsense. I don't know exactly what this is about, but I know SNEAKO's like in that sphere. I would like to push back on him a little bit. I saw his video about cheating the other day. It's always so much fun. But let's get this started. It's not as long as the video says. This is his whole live stream. Just gonna kind of get to the point where he's talking to Destiny.
Trying to tempt me.
Yeah, you're fine. You're not streaming on Twitch, right?
I'm streaming. I'm a Discord.
All right.
Yo, what up? Can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear. What's up, buddy?
All right, cool. I'm a Discord noob, so let me just
it's horrible.
fix this shit real quick.
Horrible audio.
Yeah, you're fine. You're not streaming on Twitch, right?
I'm streaming on YouTube. I'm gonna get banned on Twitch too, just like you. We got a lot in common. What did you say that got you banned on Twitch?
I don't even know, to be honest. Just hate speech.
Hate speech. It wasn't anything specific, just general hate speech.
About me.
Probably something related to trans people, but I can't know exactly. So.
Oh, you're transphobic too?
Well, to some people, but probably considerably less than you. But I mean, I don't know what your position.
Wait, why? I love trans people. I'm actually was considering converting.
Really?
No. But what did you say exactly? Probably something about trans sports.
Yeah, it was that conversation topic.
So you're a big debater, and apparently people are telling me that you're. Oh, but before I get into this thing, let me set up my fucking. Let me get the Discord on. People have been begging me to interview you for a second.
Okay.
Saying that you're a big famous debater.
Something like that. Sometimes.
Yeah, probably.
We have a couple things in common. You also have regular like back and forth with Hasanabi. Seems like that guy does not like me.
Oh yeah. No, I don't have back and forth with that guy anymore. He gave up.
Yeah, I wanted to talk to him because he was on the stream like roasting my videos, but oh, you can't even see.
Yeah.
Oh, was he? I mean, I don't blame Hassan, but interesting. I didn't know that.
No, I can't. Probably because it's on your end, but I mean, it's fine. Whatever.
How do you think I should fix that?
Well, I mean, you can either use two cameras, you can use an HDMI camera, or you can turn on like virtual. Do you know how to do like virtual camera on OBS? Have you ever heard of that before? Or?
No.
I don't know what that is.
Maybe let me just turn it on and off. Hold on, I'm gonna call you right back. L stream chat. Hold on. Let me figure this out real quick.
Wow. Let's skip through here a little bit.
Nice job of me, like I'm a.
Yeah, I can. Nice job.
It's the shitty. Wow, don't patronize me. Nice job of me, like I'm a fucking.
I'm gonna be totally honest. Almost every single person I talk to has massive issues with Discord. So the fact that just your audio working already puts you ahead of.
Yeah, no, I see you when you stream. You got Minecraft open. You got everything open. You
Minecraft. Does he
really
play Minecraft?
got this computer shit figured out. You got like 10 things going at the
he
same
has,
time. You seem like a really fast-paced thinker.
Or I just have ADHD. I don't know, man. I've been doing a lot of it.
You think ADHD?
No?
We have that in common too. Every single day on the chat, I'll be screaming. I think that's what makes streamers entertaining is like ADHD. But I think it's just a quick thinking brain, right?
Imagine that's true, because I have actual diagnosed ADHD. I don't know if they have that as well. You think that's true? You think that this is the sphere? This is the area that I was born to thrive in? Is having ADHD. I feel like I'm gonna die if I do this, but I'm still gonna do this.
I think ADHD is a little bit more. We have a little bit more of a sophisticated understanding of it than just like quick thinking brain.
Yeah. What's your understanding?
Damn, I don't know how deep you want to get into it. People that have problems regulating the executive functions of their brain, so like assigning like tasks or figuring out like what you want to be working with or thinking about at a particular point in time. Seems like people with ADHD have a really big problem doing that. Although they can hyper focus on some things if they are interested in them, but otherwise they get distracted really easily, have a hard time focusing on things. Otherwise,
yeah, but is that really a mental disability or is that just
true? I mean, that's why it's so interesting because it's like one of the things that when I play games, especially balloons, I don't know what it is. It helps me focus more. Does that sound so weird? It helps me focus more on like what's going on when I play balloons TD6. But like, yeah, you would consider that like a mental disability. Yeah, I mean that's why you classify things as like a mental disability or mental disorder in some capacity to treat it. I think that I don't know if people know that. I know it's like a weird thing to say. You classify these things so that you can get it's easier to get access to treatment. That's the whole point of getting like some kind of a diagnosis. So just letting you know.
I'd see that as a superpower.
Okay, cool.
Sure. Well, I mean, if you're lucky enough to be a fucking video game streamer that can play games and run around and talk to people, it's probably a superpower. But if you're trying to study for something in like an engineering degree, it's probably gonna fuck you hardcore, right?
Yeah,
so, like what's either like a superpower or not is probably gonna depend on where you're at in life or like what situation you're in, right?
Yeah, true.
Did you drop out of school too?
Out of college, yeah, because I was working too much.
Oh shit.
I dropped out of high school. I was a straight A double honors student, and I was like, fuck this, dude. No, I really was. I actually came off my medication at the point. The medication I was on, like, I believe it was Ritalin. It was like it made me feel very suppressed. So I was like, oh, you know what? I don't want to be on this anymore. And then guess what I did? I didn't be on it anymore. And you know, that happened. Stay in school, kids. That's all I'm gonna say. Although I guess I turned out pretty decently, but I feel like it was all luck. So,
Working too much on what, streaming and everything?
Oh, fuck no. It was a fucking food service in a casino.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
And how did you like being a service person?
I get it now. So his name is Destiny because he used to be a stripper at a food service thing in a casino. Wow. The more you know, guys. The more you know. I knew that though. Yeah, who didn't? Right?
It was fucking horrible. Dealing with people as a service worker is like the worst fucking thing in the world. People are disgusting, horrible creatures that are just, you never want to have to deal with them. You don't have to.
True. Am I gonna lose here?
What's your I heard a couple things that we have also have in common. You said that you're in an open relationship.
Yeah.
How does that work? Is it open on both ends or just open for you?
Blow my brains out.
Open on both ends. We just fuck wherever we want to fuck.
Nice. Well, how do you deal with the jealousy there?
I don't really feel jealousy. If I felt jealousy, I wouldn't be in an open relationship.
Yeah. I had.
It's interesting though because I feel like a lot of people in open relationships do feel jealous. Like I feel like that's a good reasonable question. Like how would you deal with the jealousy there? I feel like that's one of the things. I feel like most people who get into like an open relationship, they feel a level of jealousy. It's just like the benefit of being able to sleep around outweighs that jealousy for them. I think that's really more what it is. But I mean, Destiny's, you know, obviously different. But I'm just saying, like generally speaking, that seems to be the case.
I had problems with that, and then I ended up just saying like, okay, I can fuck other people, but you can't.
How do you get a girl to agree with that?
I guess just a lot of explanation and teaching her that. I told her that girls only want to be loyal to one guy, but guys can fuck a lot of things, and it doesn't really matter.
Okay, so he's like an idiot. Listen, if you want to have that relationship contract going in, be my guest. Like, go for it. Do your thing. Like, you know, work your magic. You know, like I'm happy that he established that. But like, it's the ideology of like women are only valuable because of like for some kind of like sexual, you know, capacity. That's just so ignorant, especially coming from like a 20-year-old. I'm not trying to be rude. SNEAKO's like a kid. It's like one of those things where like you've probably never met a person your age that really has any value. You know what? I'm like, I'm not trying to be rude. Like I was so dumb at 20. I know I was like a double honor student, but I was dumb. Most of you guys at 20 are dumb just on the virtue of being young. And you might be like, well, some of us are mature. Shut up, because you're probably not that one if you're saying that. Okay? I'm not trying to be mean to you. And that's the thing. Is it like, yeah, well, there's nothing other than physical beauty for value. No, it's not that women are only valuable physically to in general. It's just that that's how you value them, right? Because you're a kid that doesn't actually have, like, you haven't been tested in life in a way where you need to find somebody that's more congruent. Like that betters you as a person. Like I'm saying, that women have more value than just their body. It's very weird. You know, I'm not saying I don't love to fuck the shit out of my wife, but it's just like such a childish perspective to have. It's crazy.
Okay. I mean, that's definitely one perspective, but I think the vast majority of women would probably disagree with that. But I mean,
they do at first.
Work for you.
You really think that girls want to fuck other people?
Well, some of them might. Maybe men want to be more sexually perverse than women. I don't know if I say perverse. Men may desire to be more sexually explorative than women, for sure. That's fine. That might be true, but that doesn't. I don't really understand the question. That doesn't mean that I think it's okay. Let's keep
yeah, I think girls are pretty horny, but I think that they tend to only want to fuck people that they have more connections with. So like, whereas a guy will fuck anybody, a girl will fuck a guy a lot, but only after she kind of like knows him, trusts him, feels a little bit closer to him.
Okay. And how red pill are you? What's your? Because I've seen before you ask this question, I've heard that you've changed your opinions. Like you probably started off as more liberal, as we all do, and then when you start making money, then you kind of become more centrist, and maybe you're making the switch to become more in the middle.
What? Wow, that's an interesting. I think Destiny has always been a little bit lefty, and he's just been kind of fluctuating based on evidence. But all right.
It's not that so compared to like ultra progressives, I would say that I'm like pretty red pilled. Like, there's a lot of kind of facts of reality that people on the left don't like to acknowledge when it comes to dating dynamics, sexual dynamics, whatever. But like, I wouldn't say that I'm like red pilled. Cause it seems like a lot of people that are quote unquote red pilled have like really negative or toxic views of women, or have really bad ideas of what it means to be masculine, and then have like really toxic approaches to like sexual relationships and stuff. So yeah, I don't know whether or not I'm red pilled is probably going to depend on what side of the political aisle you're on or what we talk about.
Then what's your most controversial political opinion? You debate people on a regular basis. What do you usually get the most flack for? I heard that you were defending Kyle Rittenhouse and saying that he was innocent. I agree. Like he was acting in self-defense, like not a very likable guy. But the truth is, if you look at the whole circumstances, he was innocent. Is that like something? Is that the most controversial thing you ever said?
It's probably the one I got in the most trouble for. Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Maybe that's why you got banned off Twitch.
No.
Well, that's why I got unpartnered off of Twitch. I also only got banned off Twitch.
It's not like I remember he said something a little volatile. I believe he said something along the lines of it was fucking crazy. He said something in like within the realm that it was something along the line. I don't remember the specifics. I don't want to misrepresent it, but something along the lines of like business owners. I wouldn't like blame business owners for like shooting like a bunch of people and shit. Like it was a little crazy. I'll say that. It wasn't quite as cut and dry, but okay, yeah.
Because I think it had to do with me saying that trans women probably shouldn't compete with cisgender women in sports. But I don't know what I got banned for 100%.
I agree with that.
It just said hate speech. So
they didn't even tell you. That's why I'm saying my stream. They really want me to go to Twitch, but I'm like, I know I'm gonna get banned considering all the other people like you get banned.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm thinking if I'm getting banned for transphobia, most people probably if you venture into that realm, you're gonna get fucked pretty hard. But
I would consider red pill to be something bigger than just something about women, because if you look at the Matrix, the idea of the red pill is seeing the truth of the world. And so something I always talk about in my stream.
The Matrix. It's so interesting because this is something that I have like a really big problem with in like the high value male sphere. So the Matrix is like some idea of like it's basically escaping the Matrix. And we watched a video with Andrew Tate and Cheyenne, I think her name was. She was like, "Oh, can I, engage in the Matrix?" And he's like, "No, you can't, because the other men there will get distracted and try to show off." And I think that there is a consistent pattern of in this high value male sphere of men, like you're just advocating for men to be like stupid dumb fuck babies, like, oh, they can't function well around, so you exclude women from something because men are dumb performative animals that like don't function well enough, like they don't have enough self-control. It's like, okay, like don't you feel like that's like derogatory towards men? Like, yeah, men just don't have enough self-control, we can't have women around them. It's like, wow, that's embarrassing. That's honestly very embarrassing. I think that's kind of pathetic.
Is how like people have empathy in the wrong places and people focus on the wrong things because they think it's the right thing to say. Like when everybody was praying for Ukraine and put the Ukraine flag in their bio, I'm like, you guys are goofy. You're not going to stop World War III by donating to a GoFundMe that's fake.
I mean, maybe. I mean, like I think the donations probably went to a good place. All right, I don't know how I feel about that one. Fuck. Kill it. I don't know. It's an interesting take. I think the donations do help. I mean, do I think that everybody like cared that much? No, not really. Not as much as they said they did, because they didn't really have to sacrifice. Like, oh, I'll give $10, But that doesn't mean that it wasn't like helpful. I think that's a little bit of like a little too base for me.
Yeah, I mean, there's two parts of that. So like the red pill being the truth. I mean, like obviously everybody feels like they are perceiving and professing the truth, right? Everybody. If you talk to like you can talk to two people that believe opposite things and both will be like, oh yeah, I believe the truth. Like everybody will say that. Oh yeah, I'm not biased. Well, meanwhile they're like super partisan hacks. So I mean, there's that, and then I mean, I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with like a show of solidarity. Like, what was the name of the Minecrafter guy that just died?
Technoblade.
Notch? I don't know. You're the Minecraft guy.
Not Notch. Fuck. There was some huge guy. He died at like 23 of cancer. Super sad. Technoblade. Yeah. Like I don't know if it matters if you tweet out like "Rip Technoblade." Like he's dead, and it's not like you're gonna bring him back. And I don't know if the family like necessarily cares about your random tweets, but like showing solidarity is a very human thing. We want to feel connected to other people about issues that we feel connected to.
Yeah, but we all like have this fake empathy on the internet now, and it's like you get demonized if you don't participate in all the fucking fake. Like, if you don't post a black square on Instagram, then everybody's on your ass calling you racist. It's like, am I really racist?
Not really, to be honest with you. I mean, like, listen, okay, so, like, there is a lot of performative activism. Maybe this is just me. I remember when that was blowing up, I criticized the fuck out of performative activism constantly, and I got zero backlash. I shit on people on TikTok back in the day for being performative activists. Constantly. I made, like, all the time. I wasn't, like, people weren't like, oh my god, you don't care? One person on TikTok was like, I'll give $100 to like the best black content creator. I was like, oh, you're asking black people to dance for you? Like you're like they're a fucking like that's like they're an object basically. Like nobody was like, oh wow, this guy's racist. Like no, people are like, oh shit, that makes sense. You don't realize you're doing it, but people are being very performative. People don't really realize it. Just saying. I don't think that like you're fundamentally gonna get shit on for that. I think people have this idea. It tends to be people with like very, I mean, I'm not saying that it doesn't happen. Like, you know, obviously Destiny's experienced it to some extent for you know, because it does seem like him saying like, hey, trans women do have a biological advantage got him canceled in sports, you know, while also still being trans affirming in every other capacity. I'm just saying, yeah, I guess it depends on what circle you're in. Yeah, sure. I guess so. I think that like nobody really gave a fuck about the black. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being stupid, but
Or that I just not post a black square on Instagram.
yeah, it depends on the audience you cultivate. Yeah, sure. Like the H3 audience, he'd have a bigger. He'd have to do it. He'd have to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like that is a thing for sure. But I think on the other end of it, like it's not necessarily the worst thing, right? Like you can, like for some issues that historically don't get very much support, like seeing other people that are willing to vocally support you can be a good feeling. But I mean, I'll agree too that it goes pretty far sometimes where a lot of people will, you know, virtue signal about things they support and they don't know fucking anything about it. There's probably half the people with yellow and blue flags in their profile don't know where Ukraine is on a map. Like, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It's a human condition, especially on the internet now where you're inundated.
Bro, listen, Destiny. I don't even know where the fuck Florida is on the map. All right, so don't at me. All right.
With a fuck ton of information, and you're expected to have a position on literally every single fucking issue.
Oh, sorry, I'm best friends with Ethan Klein now. I can't say anything bad about him. Sorry.
You need to have a stance, and if you don't have a stance, you're part of the problem. But then, who are you usually debating with? I see that you're arguing on Twitter all day. You have a lot of like you argue with politicians. You're really like involved in big debates. What are you usually like? What are your strongest stances?
I mean, I have strong stances on all sorts of things. I would say, unfortunately, as of recently, probably most of my debating is against people on the left because they're the ones that kind of like go after me the hardest, or they're the ones that can have the biggest impact.
Isn't that funny? Because didn't you start off as a liberal? Didn't you father Hasanabi?
Yeah, and Vosh, but I mean, technically, Hasanabi came more from the Young Turks. Like he had a career and stuff before me, so it's not like he didn't exist at all. But I mean, yeah. But I think online the thing is like conservatives don't really have any power online. Like I'm not gonna get.
No, you get banned. You just get deleted. Yeah. If you even say something mildly conservative, you got banned on Twitch.
No, it's kind of
so true. The people that can do the most harm to me online are going to be people that are to the left of me. So that tends to be who I end up fighting with the most, unfortunately, because I probably agree with them politically on more things than like a conservative. So,
like what? Abortion?
Sure, that's one thing. Yeah, abortion could be a big one.
So you like abortion?
I love it.
I mean, I wouldn't say I like abortion insofar as like, I don't like chemotherapy, but it's probably a good thing compared to the alternative. Yeah.
I think that most pro-life people or pro-choice people, they don't like abortion. It's like a necessary evil. That's usually the argument. That's my argument there. Do you like abortion? Oh my god.
What? You also have philosophy in your bio. I'm curious about your ideas of philosophy, and someone even told me to reference. Do you know Brittany Simon?
Yeah, I know her. Yeah.
What's your ideas on philosophy and the levels? I tried to talk about the levels in the chat, and then I got kind of bored about it pretty quickly. It seems like it's just like astrology for people who are smart.
Listen,
I mean,
Brittany Simon's levels are interesting. That's it. I don't know what else to say. There's something. I don't know if there's like a lot of, you know, I don't know. I'm not educated enough on it. I was like, oh, that's interesting, but I kind of move on.
I mean, what do I think about philosophy? I mean, philosophy is a really
no. Not what do you think about philosophy. What do you think of the levels philosophy?
Oh, the levels, Brittany Simon.
Yeah.
I think that all sorts of people have like different ways of kind of organizing other people or how they want to view people in the world. I think psychologically right now we use like the Big Five personality index. Some people like Myers-Briggs. Brittany likes to organize people into what she perceives as different levels of introspection. So I mean, like insofar as she enjoys doing that, I think that's fine. I don't know. I don't know. Like,
what did she say? SNEAKO was like a 3 or something. I don't remember. But ones Brittany says should kill themselves. Incredible stuff. All right. Incredible.
Strong feelings about it. I'm probably never going to use a system like hers, but I'm not going to sit there and say that like it's the worst thing in the world and it's garbage or whatever. I don't have a strong opinion.
You don't even seem like you have any strong opinions. I thought you were going to be way more of like have strong stances on shit, but you don't even seem like that. So what are you debating about?
He's not really challenging him on anything. He's just like, what do you feel about this? He's like, oh yeah, I have this feeling about this. There's nothing. Okay.
Who are you?
Like, wait, hold on. First of all, I got a lot of strong opinions on everything. But when you just ask me a question like, what do you think about philosophy in this thing?
No, I didn't mean what do you think about philosophy in general, but like so far, yeah.
But I mean, in terms of systems, like I'm a pretty easygoing dude. Now, if you want to argue about something like related to like a policy position,
no, I don't want to argue it. I don't think that we have anything to argue about because on my, I don't think it's even worthwhile to have like any hard stances on anything because ultimately we can't change anything. We have no power. We have no control over these issues. So like, if I had some stance on abortion, I'm pro-choice, I'm pro-life. What the fuck does that change? Nothing.
Well, I mean, it's going to change who you vote for president.
Voting doesn't.
Yeah, it's going to change a lot. It's going to change like the social atmosphere. It's very interesting. I think that this ties into the idea of like a matrix that we're all like. I think that that this all ties into this matrix concept where like we're all part of this matrix, and we're kind of like stuck here. You know, in some capacity, and nothing we say or does matters because like the world is going to kind of just exist the way it's going to exist. But I disagree. I think we have a reasonable amount of control over ourselves, and like yeah, I think that what you advocate for will become a reality. Saying what does it matter if I'm pro-life or pro-choice? Well, I mean, what do you mean? What does it matter? We just overturned Roe v. Wade. I mean, that's terrible. Like very clearly, these decisions do matter quite a bit. So I don't think that it's like it's an issue of like not really caring or not mattering. I think that what we say and think and what we talk about and explore has like a huge impact. You know, on a wide scale, like presidential, it could be a little less, but like this is how we've legalized gay marriage. This is how we've made abortions illegal in some states, of course. This is how anything gets done. Progress gets done through advocation. Like, I mean, these things do work. Yeah.
Doesn't do anything. You really think that voting matters?
Yeah,
of course.
Probably.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
How do you think people?
Where do you live?
Right
Miami, right?
Like
Yeah.
Okay, so there are areas where your vote may not matter from a presidential perspective, right? Like it's like if I'm in New York and I vote for a fucking conservative for president, it ain't gonna work. You know what I mean? Nothing gonna happen. If anything, this is an advocation for you know getting rid of the electoral college and just going popular vote wise. I don't know how I feel exactly about that, but you know. But like on like smaller scales, it does matter. You can have a shift on like you know your local electees and whatnot.
They're always gonna. I mean, that's a swing state, but ultimately, I live in New York. Like, it's never gonna vote anything else than blue. And what about
They're down.
Presidential wise, yeah. But like I said, like actually, New York has a lot of reasonable conservative pockets. So like county wise, for sure, you absolutely can get some blue representation.
There are down ballot people you can vote for. I mean, like
you know the down ballot people?
not in fucking New York.
You know the down ballot people in Florida?
Not for this coming election cycle, no. But I haven't started following this election cycle yet. But I mean, like down ballot is going to be as important. You asked me about abortion in particular, and abortion is going to be a presidential vote. And I mean, some states are going to matter more than others, right? If you're in California, maybe your vote doesn't matter as much. But if you live in some of those swing states, you know, if you're in like Arizona, Pennsylvania, Michigan, like all these states, like it's probably going to matter who you vote for, right?
Yeah, you don't think that all that is just performative and like, do you really believe in politicians?
They do exist.
Do you think politicians actually have the same?
Like, do I think they're real or do
No? Do you think that politicians actually have like a best interest? Do you think they actually care about stuff like abortion, or are they all just saying stuff on TV so that they get more power?
I think that there's probably a mixture between the two, and it depends on the person. Probably small scale people who are like more engaged in smaller scale elections probably care more about these issues than people who are engaged in like larger scale elections, for sure. I think that like there are a lot of politicians who just basically like don't really care and they just like to say what they think people want to hear. Absolutely. Do I think that that's all politicians? No, I think that people care fundamentally. I think that they care enough, a little bit. You know, they're people still. Their own interests just might get in the way of that at times, which is definitely, you know, possible. Definitely, I think, true in many instances. But it doesn't mean that they don't care. So
I think they're saying and doing what they need to get elected, which is good. That's what politicians
Exactly.
should do.
So then why do you even vote? Like if you know
because
that
if you're voting for people because abortion is important to you, then chances are they're going to do something to make abortion legal because that's what's going to get them reelected.
Yeah.
So I think that they do things to get more power, and more power to a politician is winning elections, and that's what you want them going after power for, because winning elections means most people voted for, right? Isn't that what you want a politician to go after? You don't want a politician that wants less power. What does that mean? They're just not doing anything in office because they don't care if they win re-election or not?
that's fair. That's fair point.
I'm just ultimately I'm kind of nihilist. I guess that's a philosophical stance. Like there's just I don't see any point in voting anymore. I don't see any point in investing any mental energy in that because
No offense, SNEAKO's like 20. I don't know what you mean by anymore. Like, I'm not trying to be rude because I don't like to always go to like, oh, you're a kid, you don't know anything. But like, if I heard this from a 40-year-old, I don't want to vote anymore because I'd be like, okay, yeah, I understand that. You're a jaded old person who's been voting for 25 fucking years or whatever, not that long, 20 years or whatever. And so you're tired of it because you feel like your vote doesn't matter. Okay. I wouldn't say that from like a young person. What's really interesting is that the older people get, in my experience, maybe I'm wrong, for your experience, the more they advocate for voting. Go vote, go vote, go vote. And in fact, the thing is that like, older people are usually the ones who are voting. We have more progressive people in the United States than conservative, but older people tend to be more conservative. And guess what? They go out and they fucking vote. Part of that's because they probably have more time availability because they have more flexibility in their jobs. Part of it's because they're retired, some of them. Wait a minute. Am I going to lose here? Oh, I am. But that's just the reality of the situation there. You know? And so it's like, it's kind of funny that like young people are like, I don't care about voting. It doesn't do anything. And then old people are like, fuck you, I'm going to go vote. And then guess what happens? Old people win. Like, I don't, it just be how it be, brother. You know what I mean? It's just saying.
because I'm just one person. My vote has so little power and matter. Like the electoral college is what elects the politician. Besides the down ballot people, we can't. It's all an illusion. Us thinking like having a stance on something like abortion is just to make us feel good and feel involved, and ultimately it doesn't do anything.
That's like saying that like going to the gym is a waste of time because I went once and I didn't get shredded. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like,
okay, so if
yeah,
you vote
voting one time. If everybody votes in accordance with what they believe in, then yeah, outcomes are going to change for sure. I mean, Trump winning that election was winning that election was really important. Yeah, you can't vote on your own because we live in a country full of 330 million people.
Exactly.
Like, Trump winning that election is why abortion is gone.
Okay, but going to the gym actually affects your life. You could fix yourself and have immediate results. Voting and hoping that 300 other million people have the same ideas as you is almost pointless.
I mean, if you think that, then I guess you just don't have to vote. But then you're just like doubling the power of the guy next to you who disagrees with you who's voting otherwise. But I mean, like, yeah, I mean, this is how any large project works. It's always going to take like the buy-in of every single individual working to kind of make sure you're moving towards some outcome. But I mean, like, this is going to be the same of every large project you're involved in. Like, your individual effort might not necessarily.
That's why I'm not involved in any large. What large projects are you involved in besides voting?
Large projects I'm involved in besides voting. I don't know. I was streaming. I kind of do my own thing, so I'm probably not involved in many at the moment. But
that's it. Like the only large project you're involved in is politics.
So what?
Sure, but I mean, that's a pretty important project, right?
I'm confused about the line of questioning.
Chad, what do you think? WRL on voting. I want to see if they agree.
I gotta say, that line made me love the fuck out of SNEAKO. that was funny. That was very funny. Chad, what do you think? LFW for voting. That was fucking hilarious, bro. Okay. Oh my god. That's Jesus Christ. Okay.
I don't know. Personally, I think that's a mostly white idea to think that voting matters. Like, people in the hood, most people don't vote because it's like they understand, or there's a collective understanding that the system is just something that has nothing to do with our regular lives. And if you think about it,
hey, maybe that's the white man trying to convince black people in the hood, you know, that their vote doesn't matter, so they don't vote, so that white people retain more power. How do you like that? I think the bigger, you know, if I had to like actually guess what the reason why people, if this is true that people like, I guess in the hood, tend to not vote as much, I would imagine that it has to do with people who are more directly impacted by decisions tend to have a different perspective on stuff. So like, it's really easy from a privileged perspective, regardless of what that, like, you know, usually when you're like rich, where you're like, hey guys, we need to focus on like, you know, slow, progressive reformation, you know, to do the right thing. That makes perfect sense. You guys are like, yeah, Papa God, that makes absolute fucking sense. You're like, yeah, of course, I'm smarter than you. I'm just kidding. The thing is if you're somebody that's like directly impacted, like if you're somebody that's directly impacted, sometimes the slow reform, waiting it out, doesn't feel like something you can do, or it doesn't feel like it's worth it. Baby steps, when those baby steps directly impact your life, you know, that's a whole different scenario. Like, for instance, for me, like, abortion is now, like, Roe v. Wade is overturned. So abortion, you know, if I want to get it back, I would say like, hey, we need to, like, you know, work on slow reform and et cetera, et cetera. That would be the way that you need to work on these things. Actually, I think police would be better. It's like police. It's like, yeah, you know what? Police aren't that bad overall. There's a lot of good police officers. I agree with this, except for the Uvalde police. A lot of good police officers. But it's just some of the bad ones that are kind of fucking shit up. And you'd be like, yeah, you know what, Papa, I agree with that. But then if you're somebody that's getting shit on by police constantly, well, you might not. You'd be like, that's fuck you. We need to do something right now, right? And that's like one of those things. And so I feel like that's probably a perspective that's you know, that's felt in that capacity. It makes sense, but
like, how different was the world after Trump got elected? Besides what you see on your Twitter feed, was it really that different than Obama? What changed?
I mean, in the United States, a great deal changed, right? Like, so for instance, if we look at Supreme Court stuff, you've got the Roe v. Wade stuff, you've got however many conservative decisions come out of that court.
But what changed in your life? Besides Twitter, what changed
in my life? Nothing changed. I'm a rich white dude. Nothing matters to me, right?
I would argue
I would argue that sure,
but
not caring about like shit like that.
But isn't SNEAKO also rich? Does SNEAKO not have 1 million followers? Isn't SNEAKO also rich?
I think is an example of like, well, you're wealthy, so you're insulated from most of society's problems. But like, if you were one of those people that got, you know, PPP checks, or if you were one of the people that got the second like coronavirus check, the $2,000 of stimulus, if you were the people that on the extended unemployment insurance, like, these are people whose lives were all like measurably positively impacted. If you're going to be one of the people that are working for a company,
a couple $1,000, a couple K, they all got it back from the gas prices. That shit was nothing.
I mean, not for nothing, but if you think a couple of $1,000s isn't a big deal, you probably don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I'm not trying to be rude. I'm just being honest. A couple $1,000. When I got the couple $1,000s, I was in like dire financial straits. Okay, could I have gotten more money? Oh boy, I'll tell you, motherfucker, absolutely. But the reality here is that I actually don't want that there. The reality here is that that money meant like a lot. It meant a lot to me. It helped a significant amount. And so if you're just like, I call that, like, yeah, that's you not really having a reasonable understanding of the world. I'm just gonna be honest with you. It was a big fucking deal. It was a huge fucking deal.
Nothing.
A couple
they took away everybody's
$1,000.
jobs. They took everybody's jobs away for 2 years.
All, no, not everybody's jobs got taken away. That's
Pretty much, though.
Well, they didn't really take the jobs away. A lot of people got subsidized very heavily by the federal government, like with unemployment. It's one of the reasons why it was difficult to get people to go back to work, and still is. But
not even, dude. People were making more money on unemployment insurance than they ever made working. That shit was wild. Arguably, one of the reasons why we have inflation right now is because of how much money was paid out in UI.
But who got richer? Who got richer from something like unemployment? Jeff Bezos, Amazon stock.
Well, that doesn't really matter, though, right? Like, you just, all he was saying is that people got help from stimulus. And you're like, no, they didn't. A little what we would consider sussy here.
Everybody just went to Amazon and spent it on things that didn't matter because they were inside and bored. That didn't actually help anybody.
I mean, the people that were buying products on Amazon that were getting shit were helped, right? Amazon's stock price doesn't go up because nobody's being served by it, right? There's a reason why these companies have such massive prices because they serve like products to so many individuals, no? It's not like Bezos is making a ton of money out of nowhere. It's because people are buying shit and getting shit for their money.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, people thinking that the government did a good thing by giving us unemployment and fucking stimulus checks was, you know, pretty much just like, it's like a Band-Aid on a bigger problem. They kept everybody inside. They told you to take a shot. You had to keep your face covered for 2 years. I don't know, something like that.
It just sounds more like SNEAKO doesn't like that we did lockdowns for the coronavirus, rather than saying his fundamental argument was supposed to be like, what changed? It's like a lot changed, which is true. A lot did change. So I'm a little confused there. I think that SNEAKO is seems like he really wanted to talk about that.
That didn't completely ruin your faith in a bigger system. That opened up my eyes and a lot of people in my chat to just like, okay, this is all rigged. This is all a scam. We have no control. We're all just like operating in the system, thinking that we have power when we really don't.
What? Well, what was the alternative? To just do nothing? I mean,
to go make money, to go improve yourself, go to the gym, like you said, something like that.
Yeah, but I mean, like, the issue is you got a lot of people getting sick and dying from fucking disease, right?
No one died.
Like, I remember
99.9% survival rate.
Bro, yeah, I first of all, I get a little heated with this because my uncle died of coronavirus very early on into COVID. My uncle passed away. It was really fucked up. My uncle's like a father to me. So when we say nobody died, I think that, like, you know, maybe you should speak a little bit more intelligently about that. And I know that I'm using like I know I shouldn't be questioning intelligence because it's like rude, but like my uncle's dead, so like I don't really care to be super like, oh, SNEAKO, I understand where you're coming from. No, man, you're being a fucking idiot. Okay, people died. The reason, if your argument is, I don't think it was that bad, okay, that's fair. Look at the statistics. I suppose it wasn't. It would have been worse if we didn't shut down. And I feel like people just pretend that that's not true. The reason that the coronavirus is taking off again is partly mutations, of course. But part of it, too, is the fact that people are out more. The biggest reason why people, from what I've looked at, it seems like people who have the shot seem to be getting infected a bit more. Because they're going out more. They're not as afraid. They're out wearing masks, right? They're protected. That's how they feel. And that's what's... So, like, I mean, I just really think that we should speak very carefully when we talk about these topics. But it did help. The lockdowns did help. I just want you to know, like, you're just kind of objectively wrong here. I don't know what to tell you. You know, now it's better because the virus isn't as it's still, like, you know, not good to get the coronavirus, but it's not as deadly, I don't think, because we've learned to manage it a little bit better. I think it spreads more easily, but it's not as like deadly because, you know, we've gotten like a bit of it under control. But Jesus Christ.
I remember hearing this so often, brought up by conservatives, that there was some estimate in the beginning that like millions of people would die if we did nothing. And everybody, all the conservatives laughed at the number, said it was impossible. And here we are after doing all the things we did like 2 years later, and 1 million people still died. What do you mean nobody died? There were a lot
1 million people in 2
disease.
years? That's not bad at all. I think more people died because the hospitals closed.
1 million additional people died? What hospital closed? What the fuck are you talking about?
From other diseases.
What?
If the hospitals were closed.
Not the hospitals closed, the hospitals were all filled up from like, that's why
people with the coronavirus, yeah. And that was with us doing all the protective measures we did. If we would have done nothing, it would have been like 10 times worse. Like our protective measures were so like we're so successful. Even though we were still getting people sick from the coronavirus, we had like 2 flu cases for like a year, right? And we were still getting that sick from the coronavirus. If we do nothing, what? Then we have what? 2 million, 3 million, 5 million deaths. Like there's an argument to be made that the only reason Trump lost the election is because so many Republicans ended up dying from the coronavirus that they didn't have the votes they needed to win elections.
How many people you know personally really died from the coronavirus?
I
think like personally, I guess I got to think about that one. My uncle died. I had an old work friend that died. I don't know a lot of people. That's probably it. At my job, I think 14 people died at my job. We were keeping count at one point. People were just dropping like fucking flies. They got coronavirus. They were out for the weekend, and then they just eventually, bro, did you hear about the fucking the fuel pump guy, the morning guy? He fucking died of coronavirus. holy shit, like people fucking dying, bro. These people are like, it's people fucking dying. Like
3 extended family members, but I'm young. Most of my family didn't die from the coronavirus.
Most people, I don't like. I barely knew it. Even my grandma survived it.
Do you think all the numbers?
Did you? Hold on. Did you get the jab?
3 of them, yeah.
3?
Yep, 3.
And the booster?
2 and a booster.
Why?
One series is.
It's funny because I didn't get the jab until my wife had to get it, which was at the beginning of the year. Yeah, but I was like, I worked. I kind of. Oh, this is not gonna be good. I kind of worked in it more too than a lot of other people. I was my job to work in it. I cleaned buses for a living, and I was constantly like, we would wear our masks, we would go into the buses, and we would disinfect them every single day. I mean, I was in it, And then eventually, and I probably just had like a better immunity at that point. At that point, I probably just had a better immunity, to be absolutely honest with you, because I was working and like, I probably had like a lot of like, just in general, I was working in that shit all the time. My immune system was high. Once I quit my job, I got COVID. I got fucking COVID right when I was about to get vaccinated too. I fucking got COVID. It was, and it almost, I honestly think it almost killed me. I was fucked up, bro. I was having night sweats. I was waking up like drenched. I was so fucked up for so long, man. That shit is no fucking joke. And I'm sure not everybody, I'm also fat and I get it. But like, shit, it's fucking crazy. 2 in the booster.
What?
I don't want to get fucking sick for 2 fucking weeks for the flu.
You're a young guy.
Yeah, but why would I get sick over getting a vaccine?
Why
would I ever want to do that? That's fine if you're fine, but I don't want to have the fucking flu for a week. Why the fuck would I want that? Why would I ever do that when I can just get a vaccine? It's such a no. This is like one of the most no-brainer, easiest things in the fucking world for me. Like,
oh yeah.
Would I survive the corona? Probably. I think I just had it like 2 weeks ago. I think I had it. But like,
yeah, why don't you still get it even if you got the fucking shot?
Because I felt like shit for 1 day instead of 7.
All right, chat. Most people I know who got COVID who didn't get the shit, they were sick for like 1-2 days. What's the difference?
Okay, cool. So the idea of getting the shot is to increase your immunity so that like, okay. So here's the thing, right? Let's go. Okay, so we require vaccines and shit for a lot of other things in school. So let's say I have 30 kids in a classroom, and 29 of them have the vaccine to the poo-poo pee-pee. Let's say they have the flu shot. Jeez, I don't know why I'm creating that. Right? Let's say you're glad SNEAKO doesn't vote now. Let's say one of the individuals doesn't get the vaccine, a vaccine to the flu shot, and they get the flu. They get the flu. It kind of builds in their body. And then, now, it's easier to spread that flu to people even when they're vaccinated because of the intensity of it. Right? So the idea of getting the flu shot is to reduce the spread to other people. Like that's kind of the whole thing. And not letting it get like strong enough in your body to jump to people who are even vaccinated. Personally, I don't think that they should have forced people to get the shot. I didn't like that I had to get the shot still. I know that sounds crazy. It's annoying. I feel better now that I have it, though, I will say. But, I still understand the logic there,
Being sick for
because
1 day.
Because sometimes people die, which sucks. Some people had it for a long time, and then some people felt like shit for like a week. Why would I even risk it when I just get a shot? It's like this is like the most. It's fucking free. The government gives a shit out for free. Why don't I get a free?
No, it's not even
shot?
free. In New York City, they're still paying people $100 fucking to get it. That doesn't.
That's more than free. They're paying you. That he's saying it's free. What do you mean? I'm so confused about what SNEAKO's argument is here.
Scare you that the government's paying people? They have billboards up. Like I posted on my story, they have like 2 black kids holding a basketball saying, "These are the benefits. I'm glad I got the vaccine."
Why was
probably because in New York City they didn't want another outbreak where fucking everybody's getting killed. It's propaganda to get vaccinated. You know,
okay, so then
hospital
I would say
the coronavirus.
Half the people in the hood didn't get it. They didn't get the shot. Yeah. Why is there no pandemic right now?
Why? I mean, like, weren't those people disproportionately impacted by the pandemic?
No, right now.
Yes, there were.
Why is there no pandemic if like half
I don't know what there is right now. I don't know how many of those people are getting tested. I'm not sure. There might be a lot of them that are sick.
Because you know why I don't know? Because they're not putting the numbers in the news anymore. Because they're not talking about it. There's less fear mongering.
It's probably
because the virus in and of itself has evolved in a way where it spreads more, but it's less intense. So they've weathered the storm. A lot of people have died, and now they're not taking it. I don't know what to tell you. Like that's the logic there.
There's probably some exhaustion on the part of the public, but we just don't want to hear about it anymore, even if there was, right? Like at some point, even if it's like
why did I tell people to get the COVID vaccine when I didn't have it at the time? Because I have it now. Because my job is to sit on my fat fucking ass all day and not interact with anybody. That's why I said make your own choice. Personally, you probably should get it because you guys aren't lucky enough to do literally nothing all day like I do. That's exactly what I said the entire time. So
literal zombie virus, people are gonna be like, okay, like show me some different shit now. I'm getting bored.
No, if it was a zombie virus, you would see it. You would see the hospitals filled up. You would hear about it. You would know people who are getting sick. Now that they stopped talking about it in the news, I don't hear a fucking word about it, and I'm
We don't
fine.
hear shit about anything because we don't.
What do you mean? I hear about it all the time. I mean, I watch like NPR. People still talk about it. I don't know what to tell you. Maybe it's because it's not polling well for like people. They don't really care as much. I really don't know what to tell you, but like people are still talking about it.
We don't hear shit about it because we don't care about it. I made that statement. I remember a couple months ago on a stream where I was like, damn, dude, like, it seems like we're pretty much past it. Like, hospitals are done with it. Like, that's cool. I got like 20 emails from people that were nurses and doctors saying shit like, bro, this is bullshit. Like, our hospital's been full for literally fucking 2 years. Like, everybody is still working crazy fucking overtime. This is like a few months ago. I still got
yeah, and they're having trouble keeping people there too. That's like a factor as well. People don't want to work. A lot of people quit. I have a cousin who used to work for a hospital during COVID, but they had to work so much they basically quit and they found somewhere else to work because like it's just too much work sometimes. And I fucking fuck up my spacing.
Just because you don't hear about something doesn't mean it's not happening.
If it was a pandemic, I feel like you would hear about it. That the pandemic is like, at first when they were talking about it all the time, everyone was so scared we had to stay inside. We were quarantined.
Sure. In the beginning, this was the most infectious virus to ever be on the planet, right? I think it's worth.
Yes, but here's what's interesting about that. It's one of those things too. Like, let's say it's just as bad as it was. I don't think it is, but let's say it was. We would just not care. The reality is that every single time we hear about a mass shooting, people care less and less. And you want to know why? Because even though mass shootings are fucking horrible tragedies that devastate us, am I gonna die here? People are kind of over it. I'm not saying that in a positive way, but people are like, yeah, it is what it is now. That's what's really boiling down to. People are like, oh, well, it is what it is. It's life. That's the fucked up shit of it, bro. That's what it really kind of boils down to, man. That's the situation. People are tired of caring. So yeah.
Worth being. Yeah, of course. What do you mean? More people get affected by this than any virus in human history.
Chad, you don't feel like they just slapped on another name for the flu?
It wasn't. The R naught of this was like 11. I think at one point, like one person was infecting like 10 to 12 people with this virus. It was insane.
So, but you have no explanation besides like people are just bored that there's no pandemic right now?
Bro, people get bored of like something that could potentially cause World War III in like 1 week. Come on, we know this. What is the attention span? You should know this as a streamer, right? That like, here's something that I know. If anybody's ever in any big streamer drama or YouTube drama, all you have to do is keep posting for 3 days and everybody forgets about it.
That's the whole
true in the streamer world. That's true in the news world too. They're gonna be the worst thing in the world. No, I'm proving my point. They're gonna be the worst news in the world. Wait, why did I think what was bullshit?
Why do you think that believing in the pandemic is a good thing, but like investing energy into Ukraine is stupid? What's the difference?
I think investing energy in Ukraine is good. I'm a big pro-Ukraine guy. I support that shit.
Yeah,
support it how?
Support it as in we should.
Bro, what the fuck is happening right now? Yes, like you just support it like we should support our allies, people who fight for like our ideology. We shouldn't be supporting Russia, people who are against our ideology, people who literally a country, not the people necessarily, they're not bad people, but a country that wants to see us fucking deplatformed so that they can like they can oppress people. They've had the same president for how many years? Like, they're not a free country. We should be fighting against that. Like, what the fuck?
Protect the sovereignty of other countries in Europe that are being invaded.
How are you going to do that?
What?
How are you? I personally, I don't personally. My government does.
Exactly. So how are you supporting it?
With my tax
By paying taxes, yeah.
dollars? What do you mean? What are you asking?
You said that. You said how we should support Ukraine. I'm asking how you do that.
You advocate to your government to use your tax dollars to support. Bro, this is incredible. Dude. This is something. Oh my Lanta, bro. This is insane. Am I the only one who feels that way? This is fucking incredible.
As an individual American, I guess it's based on who you vote for.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's how our system works. We have a representative democracy.
So is that really support?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, of course. The people that you vote for are going to determine the policies that are enacted by your country.
There was no vote for Ukraine. We didn't get a vote for anybody who's had a different opinion on Ukraine. And ultimately, if we did, Putin still wants to go to war. It doesn't make a difference.
We don't vote for Ukraine in the same way that we don't have a direct democracy vote on every single issue that comes across the country. But we do vote for overarching ideologies when it comes time to dealing with other countries. So Trump, broadly speaking, was like an isolationist kind of guy. He didn't really want to mess with other countries, you know, even though he bombed Syria. But like Trump would say like, oh, I don't want to do this. And people would say Hillary Clinton is the red line. You know, she is more hawkish. I think that when you're voting for somebody like Biden or voting for somebody like Trump, you're broadly in mind keeping track of like all of these different positions they have. Some are more important and at some points in time than others. But I mean, that's kind of how our system works. We can't vote for every single issue individually. There's just,
so you can't vote on issues. So there's no point in investing any energy into these issues.
No, you vote on people that represent your issue.
But you're also saying that politicians just say things so that they get elected. So they're not even believing in the issues they're saying. They just say stuff.
What Destiny was saying is that, let's say, okay, that's not what Destiny was saying. This is what he's, I don't know if anybody's confused. What Destiny is saying, like, let's say your politician is a real scum piece of shit. Right, here we go. Let's do it. Let's just fucking do it. let's say we're gonna call this is a state in the United States. It's called it's here we go. It's really round, and it has a beard, and it's called Papaland. This is actually how they cut it off. Let's say you're a real scum piece. You don't give a fuck about shit. You just want power. You want to get elected into Papaland, right? And your name is Papa Gut. Okay. Now, how do you get power? You want people to like you. Now, you don't give a shit about those people, but you want them to vote for you. So what do? Oh, we want like, you know, we want healthcare. All right. You know what, guys? I'm for healthcare now. All right. We want access to abortion. All right, guys. I'm here. I'm going to provide access to abortion. All right, guys. We want big titty, mommy, goth girlfriends. All right, guys. I'm going to be advocating for big titty, mommy, goth girlfriends. Do I care if you get any of these? Absolutely not. I hate all of you. What I do care about, though, is getting elected. So if I tell you I can give you these things and I can deliver enough for you to re-elect me, you're voting for me, and I get my power. That's what Destiny's saying. In the worst case scenario, is some scumfuck is still going to represent their area because they want to maintain power. Tipster will absolutely vote for me. You guys are all single issue voters. You're only voting for big titty mommy goth girlfriends. That's what he's saying. It does, and I don't think that all politicians are like big scum pieces of shit that don't care. A lot of them can be, and a lot of them probably are in different ways. But fundamentally, it's just about getting people to, like, even if you are like a sociopath or whatever, and you don't care about anybody, you're still going to pretend to care, and you're still going to deliver enough, as much as you can, so that people will be like, you know, I like this guy. I'm not saving this. I accidentally try to say that. I like this guy. I want to keep electing him. That's what the argument is.
And then they say stuff, and then do the thing that makes them the most money.
They say things to get elected, and then they do things to stay elected. Because they should be, because they're representing.
And there is like sure, there are aspects where they do things for money. Absolutely, 100%. I'm not going to say that they're all perfect. I'm just saying, like, this is generally how these things work themselves out. I'm just saying. I'm just bringing it up.
Should be their constituent interest. I want my politician to do things to keep getting elected, so that I keep voting for them.
Name one good politician.
One, like a wholly good politician.
I don't know if I can name one.
I'm not interested in individual politicians. I'm interested in the policies that they pass. Right? Those are the things I'm interested in. So Biden pushing like the Build Back Better program, I think, is a good policy.
You think Biden's good?
That we pass. I think that he's pushing good programs. I don't know if I would say he's like holistically.
You don't think he's just a puppet from the New World Order, and he's just like being fed pills and stuff like that, and they're pushing him up the stairs? Like, Chad, how many even speeches have you heard from Biden? I haven't even seen him say a word. He's just like a person.
It's so funny because I've heard a lot of progressives like, yeah, I want to vote Biden because I know he's very, like, basically malleable. Like, he'll do whatever we want. I don't really give a fuck. It's like, yeah, maybe he is, but again, like, he's elected, and some people, they feel like they're getting a good return on that election. Like, that's what the whole thing is. Yeah.
Is a representative of policy.
Drama between like two YouTubers can't stay private for more than like 3 weeks. There's no way there's a whole new world order of people that are all concocting shit behind the scenes and nobody's leaked anything. I don't believe that. I don't think that's possible. I don't think that's feasible.
Nobody's leaked what?
That nobody's like, we don't know anything about the new world order. That like, I think that if there was a new world order behind the scenes, like operating things, I think we would have heard about it by now. I think somebody would have leaked something.
You don't think something like Epstein's Island is enough proof of the new world order?
I don't think Epstein's Island proves a new world order. No, that one old guy was a fucking pedophile. I don't think that proves a new world order. No.
You don't think COVID, something like that, the fact that they got everybody to believe in something, and that 90%, even you, a young guy, took 3 shots in his arm because he was afraid of like a bad flu, is an example of a new world order?
I take shots for all sorts of shit that probably won't kill me.
You probably shouldn't. Why are you trusting the government that heavy to inject stuff into your body?
I don't trust the government.
Yes, you do. You do trust the government because you took a shot from them.
I didn't take a shot from the government.
Yes, you did. They're the ones pushing it.
No, they didn't develop it, and they were not the ones doing the research for it. I trust the academic institutions and the hospitals and the governments across the entire world that have come together on conclusions related to vaccine
technology. The government wants you to get it. Yes or no, the government wants you to get it.
Probably, but yes or no, would the government want you to get it if it genuinely helped the population?
No, the government does not have the
population. Yes, what do you mean? Wait, no. So a government would want its whole population to die.
No, the government wants to control us as much as possible. That's so we stay slaves.
Hold on. So, like, what I really do want to know, what does getting the shot do to make you a slave? Is it just like, oh, well, let's see if they'll do it? Let's see if they'll do it. Well, why are you yelling? Yeah, good point. I don't know why he's yelling. What are you? Oh, we just want to give them to do it. Like, is it a power thing? No, I don't think so. I don't understand. Like, what's the motivation? This is like such a conspiracy theory. Like, what are they putting what are they putting in us trackers? Like, I don't understand. I don't get it.
If it was the case that there was a good government and they wanted its population to survive, would they want you to get a vaccine?
Yeah.
They don't care. Like they just want to keep us
hold on,
controlled.
you gotta
as
answer the
possible.
question.
Say the
If
question
there was
one
a
time.
government, if
Okay.
there was a government with good people and they had our best interest in mind, and they really thought a shot would help you, would that government want you to get vaccinated?
Right, but the government is not good. The American government is not good.
Why?
They don't have our best interest in mind. Why not? You trust people like Hillary Clinton?
I don't trust people like Hillary Clinton. I trust the institutions that these people
What
inhabit.
is okay? So who do you trust in the government?
I don't trust individuals in the government. We have institutions and checks and balances.
So
to keep
what
these
what
individuals
institutions do you trust?
I trust the institution of the federal government. I trust the institution of the FDA. Like I trust all of the independent academics and all of the independent universities.
I'm not talking
all
about
the independent
academics.
private
Okay, so you're
companies.
saying I'm not
No,
saying
wait. No, it's all part of it. All of it is part of it.
But you don't trust individuals?
If you're gonna try to ask me, like, would you trust Fauci on this one thing? Fuck no. I don't trust any individual. That's the whole reason why the American government is set the way that it is. There's a huge checks and balances on every single part of our government, where everybody's incentivized to catch everybody else fucking up. So no, I don't trust one person in the government. I trust the entire institution and the institutions that hold each other accountable. That's the whole point.
It's
Like,
that
you don't
sounds
think- here's
crazy
a
to me.
question.
It's crazy to me
You
that you
think-
said that you could trust the whole government, but you can't name me one politician that you think is good. So if they're all
That's how
bad,
institutions.
Oh, you respect women? Name every woman, bro. Come on. I don't understand. Like the argument boils down to like I don't think that the government is wholly good, but I will generally trust like a collective of like different people representing me based on facts and evidence, right? And the facts say that like you should get the shot, and that it's effective to get the shot, and that coronavirus would have been like much worse if we didn't do anything about it. Yeah, I mean it's the reason why even Donald Trump was like you should get the shot, even though he was playing to his base. He was like, yeah, you should still get the shot. You don't have to, but you should still get it. That's why he was saying that, because he knows that he doesn't want a bunch of dead fucking people, you know? So.
Work. What is the one part of your car that makes it drive? Name the one part that makes it drive.
yeah,
You can't name it because it doesn't make any sense. There's a whole bunch of different things that come together to
But
make a vehicle
the
go across
engine,
road.
the
But when you
engine
have-
isn't telling me take a shot. The engine isn't
the
telling me
engine
what to
doesn't-
do.
The engine doesn't spin wheels on the ground, right? In order to make your car work, it's a whole different there's so many different systems in your car that keep it moving forward. And the government is the same thing. It's not one thing that powers it, right? It's a whole conglomeration of different moving parts that all interact with each other.
Yeah, but my car is not telling me what to do. I drive my car.
I one of the things that I find a little bit funny is okay, so what we're doing is we're providing analogies to different things. So we're doing an analogy of like, oh, name the one part of the government that's good or whatever, and he's like, well, you can't, or that's effective. He's like, no, you can't. It's like there's multiple systems within the government that make it more effective. It could be more effective than it is, of course. And then Destiny uses the example of like a car. That you can't just name one thing that makes it move. There's so many different pieces that make it move to various different ways, levels and degrees. And then of course, we break the analogy, but like, yeah, but the car doesn't talk to me. It's like, oh, okay. It's like that's why it's an analogy. It's not supposed to be perfect, but okay.
My car doesn't drive me.
That's fine, and you drive
The government.
by voting. There's just a lot of people driving the same car.
The government drives.
Here's
but it takes one person to drive a car. It takes the whole country, like this illusion that everybody's on the same page to trust the government.
Then let's look at where the other incentives are. Do you think that Russia doesn't like the United States and China? Do you think they don't? Okay, if China and Russia don't like the United States, if all the vaccine was bullshit and the coronavirus is bullshit, why wouldn't they be out here saying like, oh look, it's all fake, guys? The American media is lying to you. Like they did that with the moon landing, right?
Because they
Like,
control
Oh, that's actually a good point. I never even thought about that. That's a good point. If they hate us so much, why wouldn't they just lie about it? Yeah, that makes sense. Everybody collectively came together and said, like, shit, this shit's pretty fucked up. Wow.
They control their citizens with it too.
So all of these countries do you understand how you're giving me a conspiracy where these people are like working together and not working together at like the same time? Like I can never win, right? You're always gonna have a reason to where, well, you know, everybody's gonna try to fuck over everybody else, but they also all work together at the same time. Like you think that Russia?
No,
would
they're
work
not all
together with
working.
the
It's
United
probably a system of most powerful people, these oil money people, these old banks, these old families. The people who control the money control the governments.
Yeah, but even these people fight all the time too. Look at how much American oil producers fight like tooth and nail with fucking OPEC. Like even the oil people fight with each other. So I don't. This idea that there's like this conglomerate of people working behind the scenes in these smoky rooms. I don't think you need those types of conspiracies to explain why companies and people do the things they do. And I think if there were these things happening, you'd have other people trying to call them out. Like if Pfizer was one of the big people, Pfizer and Moderna were like some of the people that were getting these vaccines out, and they were fake. Don't you think other private companies would be out there screaming like, "Yo, these vaccines are bullshit"?
Censorship is so easy nowadays. They can censor. Yo, it's actually.
hold on,
if you said
hold on,
anything
hold on.
anti-vaccine, they deleted it. You couldn't even say anything against it.
How could? First of all, you can't censor entire countries like Russia, and two, how do you
I've
censor?
seen plenty of Instagram anti-vax memes. Like, yeah, they've been trying to censor some of it, but like it's not impossible to get these things through.
Other private corporations have a lot of money. I thought we said money control the government. If these other corporations have tons of money, shouldn't they be able to just buy the way out of censorship? Or do you think there's another secret cabal that's not just ran by money and not just ran by countries, but is like the ultra secret, ultra powerful cabal? Like, what are the? I don't know. It's a lot for me to buy into, I guess.
I think you have a lot of faith in a system, and to be honest, like I don't want to.
I think SNEAKO has a lot of faith in a system that doesn't exist. It's just like kind of like it's just like an abstract thing, you know.
I think it's a race thing. I think white people believe in the government a lot more than other races because it's like the system has worked for you for centuries, and so it's like
that's probably true to some extent. Absolutely. There, like we were saying that before, probably there is if you look at the trends, the numbers, like black and Hispanic people get the like vaccinated less at lower rates than white people. There probably absolutely is a trust issue, which makes perfect sense. It doesn't mean that it's like wrong, right? Like it's one of those things where like, you know, even we were talking about before, like most police are good, but a couple bad interactions with police are gonna make you hate police. Most women are good, but a couple bad interactions with women are going to make you hate women, right? Only, you know, you hear it just takes maybe sometimes one, two, three false, accusations, and all of a sudden, oh, you don't think rape is real, right? All it takes is like 1, 2, 3 bad interactions with a man as a woman, in a sea of 50, like 500 men, and you hate men. This is how the human brain kind of works. It's meant to protect us. It makes us skeptical of different people in different situations. So yeah, that's not a bad argument, but it doesn't make you right. It is, to an extent, irrational. Like, it makes sense that you would do this, but rationally speaking, most people are good. But you're not going to tell yourself that. You're going to keep yourself safe and protected. So like, yeah, I get the distrust, but like, you have no logical or factual foundation for what you're saying. That's a problem.
The belief in the system, it's good, but when you take a step outside of that, you start to see like, oh, none of this is really for me.
What?
There's no way that this is good. There's no way that they care about me. It's fake empathy.
Sure, I can understand people having those feelings, like, especially if you're in certain minority communities. But like, those problems are hard to fix, right? They're not going to be simple problems.
What problems?
Any like problems related to minority communities, things related to crime. Crime is a really tough problem to combat. Getting good jobs to people who don't have the best of education, fixing broken families. There isn't going to be like a.
It's not just getting jobs there; it's about getting like money there to like generate. Listen, that's why I'm a UBI guy, bro. I think a bigger issue is if we had more money in an area. You know, you'd probably see more job growth and creation. That's a whole conversation I have another time, but yeah, for sure.
Like, oh my God, we finally have like a president from the hood, and now he's going to give us in 4 years the key solution to all these problems. That's not even true.
Like,
a lot of things that ended up hurting black communities came from black politicians. People talk about how Biden is evil for like the '93 crime bill, and he gets mad. People get mad about like how they treat crack cocaine versus powder cocaine. The biggest drive for like 3-strike laws and punishing crack cocaine came from black communities that saw crack cocaine destroying their fucking neighborhoods. Like, these are some of the people that push for the hardest, and it ended up that some of these like 3-strike laws and some of these criminal prosecution things didn't actually end up helping black people at all. It fucked them over more. These are really complicated problems to fix. I don't think it's that easy.
Wow.
Okay, if you grew up in project housing and the water doesn't work and the AC doesn't work, why would you think that voting on a specific bill matters at all or has any effect in your life when the place you grew up in doesn't even have proper AC? Because they put specific people in those buildings. How can you have bigger faith in something like Biden and this? Like, all of this is just like noise. Unless you're white. If you're white, then you're like, yes, the policy is good. Like,
I can understand,
that,
but like,
meaningless.
Sure. Let's look at the flip side. So then let's look at the reality. You've got project housing, okay? Fuck voting. Voting doesn't do anything. Who's the most likely person to say that? Minorities, young people, poor people. Well, who's left voting?
And rich people.
Old people, white people, and rich people. If those are the only people voting in local elections, why the fuck do you think anybody's going to care about marijuana laws? Why the fuck do you think anybody's going to fix the hood, right?
Yeah.
If the only people
That's what I was saying before, yeah, for sure. I mean, if you're not voting in the system because you don't think it works for you, then of course it's not going to work for you. It's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy at that point, yeah.
Voting are Joe Schmo, who's 75 years old and golfs every Saturday, Sunday. Do you think that the hood is getting fixed? Of course not. You're creating a self-perpetuating system where the only problems that are going to be addressed are the problems of old, rich, white dudes because they're the only ones that bother to show up and vote. And you better believe these motherfuckers vote. They vote religiously.
True. It's true. Especially old people.
Chat, what do y'all think? What do y'all think? I think eventually... Who do you think did 9/11?
Probably Osama bin Laden and his compatriots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't believe in any conspiracy?
I mean, there are some conspiracies.
What conspiracies do you believe in?
The Iran-Contra deal happened. Like, I mean, there are like we've probably tried to coup or overthrow some governments. It happened in Iran with the whole oil shit. Like, I mean, like there are things that happen, of course. But I think that here's what I don't like. Okay, this is what I don't like. I think that I get frustrated because I'm not saying you do this, but people will point to people like me and they'll go, "Oh my God, you're so dumb and lazy because you think the system fixes everything." I don't think my answer is dumb or lazy. My answer demands a lot of work. It requires you to be politically active. It requires you to continue to vote in people that are going to represent your interests, and it requires you to be informed.
Don't you think this is just like a good hobby of yours?
On the flip side, the other answer is, oh, nothing can be fixed because voting doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
Oh, wow. So then what do? You do nothing to fix any of the problems.
You focus on yourself.
Yeah, and then you blame. That's easy for us to say because we're multimillionaires and make money doing fucking YouTube videos, right? But focusing on yourself is hard if you've got a mom working 2 jobs and you've got to take care of your fucking siblings and you barely get out of high school.
Just like Reba. Just like Reba, she's a single mom that works too hard, in my opinion.
School, you don't have time to sleep at night, right? It's really hard to work on yourself depending on where you're at in life. I don't like the idea that
just because it's hard doesn't mean people shouldn't do it.
But not everybody can do it.
Yes, they can.
Well, isn't that what Destiny saying? Just because it's hard to get like legislation passed doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it. And yeah, it gets really difficult. You can't really just prop yourself up by your bootstraps. I mean, it's good to work hard. It helps your chances, but sometimes there's just a lack of availability in a lot of areas, and that's why you need to vote for legislation that would change that, of course.
No, that's not a realistic expectation.
Not everybody can work on themselves.
Not everybody can pull themselves up by their bootstraps, and it's bullshit.
I didn't say that. I'm saying work on yourself. I'm saying
who are you telling to work on yourself? The dude that's coming from a broken family who's never seen his dad before, or a guy that can listen to a YouTube stream? Of course, all of our audience.
I think that the reason that you have like all this knowledge about policies and everything is because like you get to talk about it all day on stream, and that's your stream thing, and then people watching it, they feel smart, they write down their policies and stuff like that. But that's in a way a privilege because you have a lot of time.
I agree, 100%. I agree. Yeah, of course.
Same thing with Hassan. Hassan lives in a fucking $1 million mansion. Like nice cars and shit like that. He's talking about socialism and how we should tax people more. He gets rich talking about policies.
True.
And ultimately, if he wasn't talking about it, he was just voting every time. Blah, blah, blah. He's doing nothing. The only reason it sounds cool and it sounds like it's important is because that's his job.
Sure, you can have a separate conversation on like what is the responsibility of different content creators in terms of should they be doing more with their money, but that's a totally separate conversation from does voting do anything or should we advocate for people to vote?
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, specific policies and stuff like that. It's just, I don't know. I don't even see that as a good enough reason to go tell me to go out and vote. Because you also don't believe that, you also say you don't trust any politician. They're inconsistent. They follow the money. They're all power hungry. The policies they say now, it's all stuff they say to get elected. If they're saying that to get elected, then how should I trust them?
Do you trust people that knew you? You got a big channel. You ever signed a contract before?
Yeah.
Why? You don't trust
to get money.
Working with?
To make money.
Wait, you don't trust any of the people you work with? Why would you just sign a contract?
Yeah, work with them. It's for my personal benefit. I don't get anything out of voting. Besides
I'm asking you, why the fuck would you sign a contract with somebody you're working with unless you don't trust them, right? That's the same type of thing where you're saying like you don't trust an individual politician. Of course, I don't trust an individual politician just like I don't trust an individual business. That's why you have a whole system of checks and balances.
But that's a bad comparison because when I sign a contract, I get paid off of it.
Sure. The only difference is you seem to have trouble understanding that like voting requires a buy-in from all of society. You can't have one vote that like determines like this is the one guy that gets to vote on the next politician. That's just not how it works.
I know.
But I really wish SNEAKO would like mute his alerts.
My bigger point is that you having all this knowledge about everything, the most power you have is one vote in a country of over 300 million.
Okay.
That's how our project works. How else should it go? Like, how else could you possibly do it?
So investing that much energy into like learning about all this stuff and everything is really meaningless because your vote is so fucking useless.
I mean, you can influence your friends and family around you. You can work at.
I think that's a very privileged perspective to have. None of this matter, dude. Come on, you like, yeah, of course, you can't just get anything passed in like a day because you're an individual person. But like you, like especially if you're somebody with a platform and you're telling your viewers actively to not vote. Do you think that you're doing a good like? What do you think the positive impact of that is? Do you think that you're helping like a lot? Hey guys, don't vote. Oh, thanks. That really helped me a lot. Like what is? What are you doing? I don't understand. It's just a bizarre. It's just very bizarre, you know? It's just a very bizarre kind of like fucking perspective here. It doesn't really make sense, so.
At a local level, if you work at a local level, you got a lot more political power than just your one vote. You go to your city council meetings. You're talking
about
like
level, city council. You really think that's a good use of people's time? You said
that is a better use of people's time.
I'm saying people should focus on themselves, and you're saying like, oh, you can't just tell people to pull themselves up.
You should. People should focus on themselves, of course, and part of focusing on yourself is voting to advocate for you and your future. Right? So I mean, I feel like that makes a really good amount of sense. No. Okay.
By the bootstrap, you're saying that people should invest their time into local elections?
First of all, local elections are more important than federal ones if you care about things like criminal justice, right? President can't do shit about your chief of police or anything related to that, right? That's all coming at the local level. If you've got problems with like affordable housing being built, if you've got problems with how your state runs, like Medicare or Medicaid, like these are things that are going to come down to your local, state level, or sometimes city level in terms of policing, like politicians. Yeah, of course that's important. But like, listen, I'm not going to say you shouldn't work on yourself too. That's like even arguably working on yourself is even more important than your political engagement. But it doesn't have to be one or the other, I think.
Yeah, no.
I just think ultimately it's a huge waste of time. And this is coming from experience. Like I used to canvas and shit like that for Bernie Sanders. I used to knock on doors. I used to do those phone calls and shit like that. And I'm like, bro, I just wasted fucking days and hours.
Bro, can I just tell you kind of like how, okay, so what he's saying is like, hey, I liked Bernie a lot. And Bernie's a nice guy. I don't know if I agree with all of his policies. He's a nice guy. And we didn't win, so it was a waste of time. So that's, dude, again, that's like kind of a privileged thing. You're just like, yeah, I tried for like a couple months and I didn't get my way. And you start making fart sounds. Like, what the fuck are you on about? Like, it takes more than that. You can't just give up because you didn't get your way one time. Like, dude, this is a very like young person perspective. Come on, like you're like 20 years old, bro. Like you invest. You're 23. You invested your time for like a summer, and you didn't get your way. So now like the fucking world is terrible, and you're in fucking cope mode. Like you don't think that maybe that's kind of like not good? Like it's fucking crazy.
Hours going to campaigns and looking this shit up, and I don't really have an effect on it. It's just making me
say
feel
that
good.
because
It's
you
making
say
me
that-
feel good. Like it's making me feel like I'm involved in something, but ultimately I have no power. They have all the fucking power.
You only feel that way because Bernie Sanders lost, though, right? Imagine if you were, instead of advocating for Bernie Sanders, what if you were one of the guys advocating for Trump? You probably feel like you got a whole bunch done. You probably feel like your time was really well invested because your guy won. Like, I'm sorry.
No,
like,
I felt
you
that
don't
way
get to win
because don't you think that the DNC rigged it for Hillary in 2016?
Of course not.
No?
No, Hillary had like way more support than Bernie did at every part of that election cycle.
All right, so you don't think the election's rigged?
No, I don't think the election was rigged.
What's the
And you
response?
think the president really like has a big effect? And if you get off the internet, you're gonna know who the fucking comptroller of.
What's interesting is like, so you think the president has a big impact? Okay, so this is like one of those things. I guess you would call this like cognitive dissonance. He's like, oh, he's saying that, oh, you think the president's effective? Okay, well, you just went on a rant about how we didn't vote specifically to go and fight in Ukraine. So clearly, the president has a lot of power if he was able to do that, right? So you're kind of like, you know, maybe my point's not good. I feel like it's a decent point. I mean,
of fucking Little River, Mississippi, like that's gonna have an effect in your life?
I think it's gonna have a huge effect. These are the people that you see.
The
All day.
comptroller?
You're never gonna see fucking Biden when you're however you vote for a presidential election. But like the people that you vote to like do your local policy can like have impacts on the people that you see patrolling down the street. Yeah, it's a huge. I think it's a huge deal. Yes. Or like you can find tales of people that city council projects where entire housing projects will get held up by one old fucking lady that decides to show up every single day.
Okay, what about
She knows
lobbyists?
the name
What
of-
about lobbyists? Some
What?
people with more money ultimately have the most power. Like you could
Yeah.
bribe politics. Money
sure.
is what sways. Money is the actual power. Money has way more power than voting. That's why.
Money-
That's the argument for focusing on yourself. If you
well, money gets people to vote in a way, right? Like, so they'll run, like, lobbyists will be able to block shit, but they'll also be able to advocate for people to feel a particular way about, like, their particular ideology. For sure, like, I think lobbyists should probably be limited. That doesn't mean that you don't have individual power. I don't.
have money, then like what stuff like Medicare, Medicaid, who you're voting for. If I have money, that doesn't matter.
Sure. Who were the two richest people that ran in the Democratic primary last time? It was Steyer and Bloomberg. Those guys were fucking billionaires, and they got crushed. They got shit on. So, like, does money matter? Yeah, it can help for sure, but it's not everything. Hillary Clinton outspent Trump, and he crushed her well, I wouldn't say crushed. He won in the electoral college against her in the election. So, no, money isn't everything. It can help for sure. But, like, of course, candidates that win are raising the most money. It's because they're the most popular fucking candidates. No shit, they're gonna raise more money.
How long did you wear the mask? Because you got 3 shots. You must have been like, when did you take it off?
Whenever the government said we no longer needed to wear it. So, whatever.
It's interesting that, like, every time SNEAKO gets pushed on a position and he has no response, he just completely pivots to another topic. And he consistently cycles between the same topic. So he'll get, like, completely stacked on a topic by Destiny. And then he'll be like, okay, let's move on to a different topic. And then he'll get stacked again. And he's like, okay, let's move on to this topic. And then he's get stacked again. Okay, let's move back to the first topic. And he just consistently keeps getting stacked by Destiny. And it's just like, what the fuck are you doing, bro? Like, what the fuck game are we playing here? It's crazy.
restrictions are
Okay, so you
but
do,
I do
or
a
you
ton of
don't trust the
traveling, so
government?
What?
It's when you that question.
All
It's
right,
like
but why did you stop wearing the mask when the government told you to?
I wore it when the restrictions and the regulations were on for it, and then when when they went away, then I stopped wearing the mask.
Why?
That's the same way I felt. I don't really wear a mask even in the stores anymore. Like, the government's like, hey, you know what? Because they usually want to know the answer because they are usually looking at the data and they tend to not want people to die. Like, my local fucking electees aren't like, you know, I really hope that everybody dies. You want to know why? Because I make money. They don't want people to die because human capital. They don't have to care about me specifically, but there are still people. Like, like, if you worked for the government, do you think that you'd be like, yeah, I don't want people to die? Of course you would. Would you still, like, probably focus on what's better for you more than other people? Probably. But, like, you don't want people to fucking die. It's the idea that the government is like the spooky evil thing. The government is made of people. Is it a toxic environment that makes people shittier? Of course. But fundamentally, like, dude, if I was in the government, even if I was, like, there for my own interest, I don't want you to die. So it's like, yeah, guys, the science says wear a fucking mask, so let's wear a fucking mask. It's really not that complicated. It's very simple.
Because that was what the regulation was. 'Cause I'm a citizen of the government. I have to do what the government says. It's part of being a citizen in a country. Like, you have to follow the regulations of your
Don't you
government.
think that's proof that you trust the government? If you're like, I'm a citizen and I believe what they say, I'll obey you. Yes, Fauci,
Okay.
Biden.
when you use the term trust the government, right? Like I trust the government as a conglomeration of institutions.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that I trust.
It's also funny because the government they'll be like, based on this data, and they'll tell you what the data is. You should wear a mask. Then you can look at the data, right? Like, they're relatively transparent in that. Now, of course, people will take it and they'll throw it the wrong way. Like, for instance, they'll be like, yeah, well, how come in this red state, when they implemented mask laws, how come people got more sick? So look at the data. They implemented mask. They said, wear a mask again in April, and the COVID spiked. It's like, well, if you would take a step back and take a deep breath, you'd realize that they implemented the mask because of the spike. The spike didn't come from the mask. Right? It's the same logic of like, oh man, there's so much high gun crime in areas that have higher gun restrictions. The gun restrictions must be what makes have more gun crime. No, the higher gun restrictions come from higher gun crime, because when people live in a closely more packed area, they tend to be more violent, more irritated. They tend to be shittier, right? That's why in like these rural areas, like, yeah, we don't have a lot of gun crime. We have like completely open carry. Yeah, no fucking shit, because you're not going to have an issue with the fucking guy blasting goddamn music at fucking 3 a.m. next door to you. You don't get pissed at this shit, right? These things don't spread as much. There's not as much tension, there's frustrations. There's more personability in like rural areas, because like you guys know each other. You all grew up with each other. There's like 100 fucking people in your town. Meanwhile, there's 100 fucking people on my goddamn block, right? So like things become less personalized. Of course, they're gonna have different but it's just like, oh, must be the restriction. What is it? Do you think that's the fucking Streisand effect? You think that we implemented the mask and the coronavirus? Like, you're trying to hide me? I'm gonna double my power. No, there's no fucking sentience in the coronavirus, right? So that's the thing. And people have like such weird ass backwards logic about this stuff.
Trust an individual politician.
Good. I'm not saying
that. And people are constantly criticizing the fuck out of the government, which they should be, to hold them to a degree fairly accountable, right?
And ultimately, you trust the government.
Okay, ultimately, yeah, I guess I would say probably
trust the government.
Largely, yeah, I trust the government.
Okay,
yes.
that we fundamentally disagree.
Insofar as it performs its functions as the government, yeah.
And you think it was fair that they took away most people's jobs, they shut down the economy, and they told people you cannot go outside, and they set all these lines up, they put little squares on the floor where you could stand, they cut off...
Yeah, I mean, the biggest fair part of it's like, hey, we have to shut down, and then we're going to give you a shit ton of money. Yes, is it fair to them to say, like, you can't work anymore, and to substitute that, we're going to give you $400 or $500 a week on top of your local unemployment? Yeah, I think that's kind of fair. They didn't say, go die, you can't work. They gave people who were non-essential money to stay home. They expanded welfare benefits. They expanded, like, what's the unfair part? Is it frustrating? For sure. Nobody fucking wants to. I worked the whole pandemic. I don't give a fuck, because I was like considered like an essential person. I worked on public transportation. I helped fucking poor and old people get to work. I desanitized 200 buses in my fucking yard every day, because like that's what we had to do, right? So yeah, but like, yeah, was it fair? I mean, it's not fair to not have to be able to work because it sucks, but at the same time, did they do it in a fair way? I think they did it as fair as they possibly could. They made sure you didn't fucking die, you know?
One chair in the airport, every other chair. That shit all made sense to you?
When we were facing what turned out to be the largest pandemic in human history, yeah, I think it was reasonable.
Okay, and if you believe in the academics and the health professionals, why was that government mandate the switching factor for you to take off your mask?
Because
the government looked at the data and said that we don't need to wear a mask anymore. The
government largely probably followed whatever the recommendations were from the health institutions.
So the government has our best interest in mind?
Probably, generally,
not always,
maybe,
but
not
in that situation,
health related. When
the government has our health. The government cares about our health. Ultimately,
yeah, I think so. In that case, yeah, then.
You don't think that's a white belief?
It might be, but it's a right belief, so I don't really care. I don't evaluate my beliefs based on which minority or majority community tends to believe in things, right? I'm not gonna say like I believe this is good because white people or because black people think it. Like it's gonna be I'll evaluate.
No, I'm saying that maybe you're warped and maybe you believe this because you're white. Maybe that's why you trust in the government to that level.
I mean, you can turn around and say maybe the reason you don't believe it is because you're not white. Like, you know what I mean? Like maybe it's because like you are a marginalized group that has a reason to distrust the government more. You know, like you're saying it's like a white bias where white people are believing it more because they're white. I think that maybe it's like a person of color bias because you've been wronged by the system, which makes perfect sense. But it doesn't necessarily mean that fear is valid in this case. I don't just want to tell you, like at this point, the data is available and you're wrong objectively about the data. It's a big cope. I'm sorry. It's unfortunate, you know. It's white people's fault for making you not trust us. I'm very sorry. But at the end of the day, it is what it is.
Okay, last I checked, black people can get sick from the coronavirus the same as white people can. So I don't know what difference that's supposed to make.
But other races do not trust in the government and do not believe that they're right and they have the best interests like white people do.
And they have a disproportionately higher amount of cases. So, yeah, look at the data. They're dying disproportionately larger. I'm just saying, man.
I'm not supposed to trust in the government like they don't, or what?
No, I'm saying that I'm trying to get you to acknowledge that maybe you have a bias that you're not aware of. Maybe you're.
If I have a bias, it has to be. You have to point out the bias.
I'm saying maybe your faith in government is not actually because the government's good. Maybe your faith in the government is because of what race you are.
Yeah, but then you have to demonstrate where that's right or wrong. You can't just say because you're white, therefore I'm correct. We're incorrect.
He's really playing the fucking id poll game here.
No, I'm not saying you're incorrect. It's not about correct or incorrect. I'm just saying your level of belief in the government comes from a white place.
Yeah, I guess probably to some extent, but I don't think that makes it right or wrong.
You don't feel like a sheep?
I didn't know that SNEAKO was like the most woke red pillar in the entire world. This is incredible. I would expect this kind of like argument from like a fucking lefty, honestly.
For taking off your mask right when they told you to?
You don't feel like a sheep for blindly listening to whatever Alex Jones, Tim Pool, or Jordan Peterson says just because
it's the opposite
of what the government says?
You think I listen to any of those guys?
No, but I'm saying that like just because I want to listen to like an alternative media take that's the opposite of the government doesn't make you any less of a sheep than what the government says. I've done a ton of independent research on vaccines and the coronavirus, and I feel like largely what the government said was true. Like if some people think that's a
but they also censored everything. All the articles you probably read were manipulated. They censored shit. I don't think that freedom of speech is dead, Destiny. Freedom of speech is fucking done. If you talk about COVID now, they put a COVID warning.
I don't think that one government can.
Yeah, so there's a conversation to have about like the way that they're regulating freedom of speech, generally speaking. The thing is, it's like, what do you do when you have people with absolutely no factual foundation going around saying that COVID is a big nothing burger and you should all, they hate you and they want you to die and the mask is a face diaper, et cetera, and they're pushing that all over social media. What do you do? Just let people get it in, taken advantage of by this dumb fuck ideology? Like, what's the expectation here? You know what I mean? It's like, what are the people supposed to do? Is it ideal? No. But again, like you have no logical, factual foundation for anything you're saying. And you're actively pretty much hurting people with your idea. So what's supposed to be done? Like, understand.
Censor all the speech across the world. And I think there's a lot of people that would be incentivized to expose the U.S. government for lying about the coronavirus if they were. But I don't see Russia or China.
If you even say the word vaccine, they took it down. Why did
China could do it?
Why did they hide everything about Hunter Biden?
What?
I don't think they hid anything about Hunter Biden. I think that Twitter had a specific policy where you can't post hacked materials.
Why? If it was Trump's kid, they would have kept it up.
You don't have any proof of that. There was like a few months earlier, there was like doxing. Hold on. A few months earlier, there were doxing lists posted of like police officers, and those people got banned as well. If you want to post incriminating pictures of people online that they don't consent to being posted, you're not allowed to do that. But people kept saying that they tried to censor off the story off Twitter. Plenty of stories were posted on Twitter talking about it. You just couldn't link directly to the hacked materials.
Okay, so why did Trump get banned on social media?
Wasn't the Twitter policy because he was inciting violence on Twitter, and that was their issue?
No, it wasn't just Twitter. It was all social media.
I don't know what rules he broke on.
Why did Alex Jones get banned on social media? Why did you get banned on Twitch? You don't see that as the same shit? You don't think that you...
Bro, it's insane how he just yells. I have to pause it because it's so fucking unintelligent. Why are you yelling? Why? Like, it's like you get back into a corner, so you scream like a child. It's so insufferable. It's so fucking childish. Like, ask your question, but you just have to continuously raise your voice to sound like more smarter. It's embarrassing for you. Like, it's just embarrassing. Holy fuck.
You getting banned on Twitch is the same thing as Trump getting banned on social media?
I don't think I got banned for the same reason, no. Alex Jones got banned on social media because didn't he lose a case about like Sandy Hook being fake?
Look,
and they have rules against it, so that's probably why he got it. Yeah.
The reason you said the reason you probably got banned off Twitch is because you said that Kyle Rittenhouse was innocent.
No, that's why I lost my partnership. And it wasn't because I said that.
That's not crazy. That doesn't strike alarms in your head.
My quote was way spicier than that, okay? That's the
You're defending them for banning you?
I'm not defending them. I disagree with the policy, but like obviously the whole internet has taken a certain shift culturally in terms of the type of speech that they welcome. I'm not going to sit here and defend them.
Well, okay. The quote that Destiny had said that got banned off Twitch, I could see why he did. I wonder if I could find what he had said. I don't know if I could find the clip of what he said, but it was much spicier than that. It was really, really intense.
That also, by the way, I'm not going to say that like I think that I approve of the way that speech is moving on the internet. I think it's moving in a really negative way, but that's disconnected and separate.
Do you believe in real freedom
of speech? The government is controlling.
Do you believe that it's not freedom of speech?
Kind of. I mean, more than
kind of means no, Destiny. If you have kind of freedom of speech, that's not free.
Hold on. If you want to like put a stop here and start another conversation on freedom of speech, that's fine. But this is a fundamentally separate topic.
No, it's the same thing. That's the same thing.
You can't make every topic the same thing because that's the most sensational.
It is under the same thing because the government tells us we have freedom of speech. It's in the Constitution, and we do not.
The problem right now with freedom of speech.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's usually freedom of speech, not freedom of consequences, kind of a thing. Like, you know, that's the thing is like Twitter has the freedom of speech as an entity to control what's on their platform, right? So like, you know, it's frustrating because it's a new public forum and that can like have like really toxic, I guess, you know, outcomes in some instances. Maybe it could be better regulated for sure, but you know, let's just keep that in mind. You know.
Speech doesn't even come from the government. The problem comes from private companies. So it's the opposite problem. Right now, the issue with freedom of speech has to do with capitalism more so than it does with the government.
Ultimately,
Facebook and Twitter and all these companies aren't government institutions. These things are institutions that are private companies. If anything, the government tried to stop that because members of government under Trump.
You don't think it's all tied together? Why does the government spy on us?
Let me finish. When Donald Trump and when Paul Ryan and when Jim Jordan, I think, and all these. What?
What are you about to say? You just listen more policies.
No. I'm saying that these were guys that tried to push for like Section 230 reforms on some of these private companies and were able to do it. So in that sense, you can't say like, wow, look at what the government did to us. Well, hold on. The government was actually trying to fight against some of the censorship that was coming from corporate entities like Facebook and Twitter. Like these things aren't government entities. These are corporate entities. And the government's fighting against them when it was under
So
Trump.
why does the government get to spy on all your social media? Why does the government spy on your fucking phone if it's not connected?
I don't know what you mean by spy on your phone if it's not connected.
They're listening to everything you say and everything you do every second of the day.
I don't know if the government has the computing power.
Yes,
or
they
the
do,
storage
Destiny.
For every
Yes, they do. Chat, no.
I think that the government might have the ability to listen for trigger words that are said, or that you may say, possibly. I just feel like we're getting kind of into like a weird conspiratorial area, though. Like what? Like we're just talking about like freedom of speech. I guess, so I can see there's a problem. It's just like we're compounding every single issue this guy has with the world in one. You can't have like a nuanced conversation. It's always going to go somewhere else. It's going to get slightly more and more a little unhinged, you know?
Come on. You don't think they're spying on literally everybody at every second?
That's a lot of computational power. I don't know if they got the ability to do that, Chief.
If they want to, they can. They can look through your camera at any second. They're always listening. They have control over your phone. And you think
I think not for nothing, but they're not that interesting. Also, like usually, I think Apple will try to like block some of that too in some capacity to maintain like freedom of speech, so people don't get off their stuff. But yeah, usually if this is something that's happening, it's like trigger words. So if you say like bomb, terrorist, Al Qaeda, Joe Biden, January 6th. Now the government's listening. What's this fat fucking piece of shit doing, right? So I know what happens with advertisements, bro. I'm sitting here, bro. Okay, I'm sitting here. You know, you talk about a product. Hey guys, I really want like a fucking. I really want the new God of War game. Oh guys, like, pre-order God of War now. Comes right the fuck up. I'm just saying.
Can't look through your camera at any second. That's
when
not
the
true,
police
man.
want to get you in trouble, they can look at your Instagram. They can look through your Twitter.
They can look at your public. Hold on. What do you mean?
Yeah, you can look at your public info. They can look at your Instagram. Anybody could. That's why you shouldn't be posting anything too suspicious on Instagram, brother. I don't know.
You say public posts like Instagram? Yeah, of course.
No, they can look through your private messages.
The problem is that you're
the
getting
police
all
can see your Instagram DMs.
You are getting all of your information secondhand. Okay, if you actually follow tech stories or network security stories, look at all of the fighting that the FBI did with fucking Apple, begging them to let them unlock phones, and Apple said no, fuck off. And the FBI was like, please give us a way to get into the phones. They couldn't do it, right? Like you can look at the. If you're sophisticated enough to do it, you can look at the telemetry of any device. You can see where all the incoming and outgoing signals are going. You can track your phone and see who's like monitoring or what. But like this idea that like the government has unlimited power or that they're somehow like 10 years ahead in technology doesn't make any sense. The government doesn't have the money to do that.
They're not 10 years ahead of technology, but they 100% can spy on anybody at any time.
If they can the government can get a subpoena, and then they can ask or demand private companies to comply with that subpoena, and then depending on the levels of encryption they use, they might be able to read certain private messages. Sure, that's possible, but that's always been the case. You can get a subpoena to go through somebody's fucking mail. You can get a subpoena to go through somebody's house. You can get a subpoena to search somebody's car. Like that's always been the case. Do you think that like private law enforcement shouldn't have the ability to subpoena a company to look at messages? Can you answer that question?
What was the question? The subpoena what?
Let's say that we get a report that a guy is seducing fucking 10-year-olds on Facebook. Do you think that the FBI or the local police should be able to say, hey, Facebook, we've got a big case against this guy. We're going to issue a subpoena and say, you have to let us look at this guy's private messages to see if he's trying to fuck 10-year-olds on Facebook. Do you think that the government should be able to do that? Or do you think that they shouldn't have the ability to do those types of investigations?
It's not whether they should or should. I don't believe in should or shouldn't. They will.
Well, we got it. Hold on. That's
they will if they want to. They will if they want to.
We need to answer that.
That's a rough question to not answer. Hey, if children are getting raped, should they be able to look in the private information? Should they be able to like subpoena a company to look through the private information? Well, personally, I don't know if I can answer that. The reason SNEAKO's not answering isn't because he is a pedophile or anything. He's not. The reason he's not answering is because he knows it's an own. He knows that it makes him look wrong. That's the only reason. And it's like, bro, that's the problem. Like, you're so... Why? Just say, like, yeah, I get that. Absolutely would want you to be able to do that.
Question. Because if they shouldn't be able to, then fine, I agree with you. They shouldn't be able to ever subpoena.
That's it. You thinking you like having like, oh, the government should do this or should do that. It doesn't matter because they will if they want to. Us having a debate about it makes no difference. They will do what they want to do.
I mean, us having a debate about it won't make a difference, but like how the people collectively vote are going to determine how this program.
Voting is so pointless, yo. It's so in New York. It's 90% Democratic. And like this is one of the most populated states. It's the most populated state here, right? New York.
They vote in your local elections. Voting your
nobody gives. Okay, you're saying that to me.
No, I agree. Nobody cares.
Nobody gives a fuck.
Yeah, because people are obsessed with the online, like federal level.
No,
shit.
because ultimately what matters most is we need money. If we spend time wasting on who's the policy, oh, they're going to pay 3 more cents on the gas. You're wasting your life.
We need money. You're not going to vote to get more money.
It's so interesting because I was interested in a conversation with SNEAKO. I don't think I am anymore. Truly, it's not his idea. It's the yelling. I find it insufferable. I don't respect it. It's annoying. I hate this like type of like childish fucking screaming constantly when somebody doesn't like because you can't communicate a point. Like it's very childish. Like I constantly engage in conversations with people who I don't think really understand what I'm saying in many instances, and like I don't go start screaming. Thing is like this is fucking embarrassing. Like it's just like, oh my god, like, you're just screaming. It's so you're just yelling because like it's fucking childish, dude.
Money. I don't know what you're looking for.
So what else do you vote on? What policies else do you vote on?
You vote on important social issues like Supreme Court justices. You might vote on international relationships, on whether or not we fund NATO or not. We might vote on like the size of the military. We might vote on what type of like
the size of the military. Destiny, they're going to do what they want regardless. You think they trust us to make decisions for the better of the country? They pick who they want. They pick the laws who they want.
No, that's why you elect a person to represent you, because you would generally think that person. His entire argument is that like no voting doesn't matter because everything's predestined, everything's predetermined. So that's just it's just a conspiracy. It's a conspiracy theory. I don't know what to tell you. Like you're not right. Like I mean, it's a conspiracy, but you can't disprove a conspiracy because it's just so fucking batshit insane. So that's where we're at right now. Is that like SNEAKO's a conspiracy theorist, and that's pretty much where we're gonna remain. Yeah, and all of his audience listening to him and his ranting is gonna have a net like negative outcome on like everything because they're gonna be like, you can't do anything about anything, blah. You know, it's just gonna be fucking screeching.
They sign it away. Like, did we get a vote on abortion? The Supreme Court did. We'd have no decision over that. People
you literally vote for the guy that nominates people to the Supreme Court. What do you mean,
bro? There's probably 3 people in this chat who knows who ran for the Supreme Court.
Did he just say that people ran for the Supreme Court? I'm gonna play the alerts real quick. You don't run for Supreme Court.
Bolsof Nails just resubscribed for 2 months.
Thanks for the sub, brother. You don't run for the Supreme Court, bro. You get appointed by the President of the United States.
Love how reasonable and level-headed you are.
I appreciate that, brother. Thank you so much. Drink semen, absolutely, I agree. Bro, I'm fucking... Dude, what? Like...
Crab Navy General just subscribed.
Thank you so much for the sub. Listen. I appreciate that, brother. Thank you for the 5 get the subs, Tubbs. Thank you so much.
Tubbs0677
Thank you so much, brother.
Gifted 5 subs.
Okay, listen, here's the thing. People make mistakes all the time. It's no problem if you make... Like, hey, I said this thing the wrong way. That's my bad. Oops. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, that it happens. It does. It, like, unironically happens, right? The problem is I don't like people who speak with such arrogance and confidence when they're wrong. And then they say a wrong thing. Because now you've communicated to me that if you say a thing that's not smart, that I can tear into you because you're going to tear into me. And it's like, dude, come on. You don't get elected to the Supreme Court. You get appointed by a president. Now, there should be a conversation about how these appointments work. Okay, you shouldn't elect them. But I think that like every president should be able to appoint one Supreme Court, maybe 2, maybe once every 2 years. You get to have 2 of your own, right? You don't have like a term limit. It'd be 18 years if it's twice, or 36 years, I guess, if it's once, right? Not a terrible idea. Hey, that's not a... Hey, Baba, God, smart idea. I know, I'm smart. I know, I'm a doctor, too. I'm not a doctor, but you get my point, right? That's not a terrible idea. I'm not against that idea. God Damn, that was insane. But that's what the discourse is currently like. You know, that's what we're talking about. Like from like the discourse is about, right? I mean, fuck.
No. When you vote for the president is the one that picks Supreme Court people, right?
Exactly.
If you vote for a liberal president, then you're probably
saying, and you're also saying that when you get elected, you just say things to get elected, right? So they might say this stuff like that, but they're going to pick the people on Supreme Court who give them more money, who they have at the fucking lake house parties, who's flying out to the private island touching kids, who's blackmailing who. That's who they pick to go on the Supreme Court. Not any policy or any. I'm going to do this and help out this.
The people that are nominated to the Supreme Court usually have huge histories working in the judicial system, and they're usually not rich people that are donating tons of money to get those Supreme Court nominations. And even if they were, there's a good thing. We don't have to trust the president about it. The Senate has to confirm who the Supreme Court pick is. So there's a whole other branch of government.
Okay, you're saying there's 10 people who pick someone who decides on a law. Doesn't that sound so
I'm just going to do this because I'm pretty sure. How big is the Senate? Is it 100 people? Are there 100 people in the Senate? Oh, there's 100 members. That's a little bit more than 10. Okay. Incredible stuff.
fucking nonsensical to you that there's 10 different fucking people picking? Your vote doesn't do anything.
It's not. I think you have a.
No, what did you just say? You said, okay, the president.
No, hold on. You have a fundamental understanding of how some parts are going to work. Okay, that's what I'm saying right now.
Yeah, no, you know more about government than me. So, like, yeah, you're smart, but like, okay, how does the Supreme Court get picked? You vote for a guy, and then he picks guys, and then he picks some other guys. That's no power, Destiny.
Yes, and if we got let's say we got a Democratic person that voted, or let's say we got a Democratic president instead of Trump, we would have had 3 Supreme Court nominees because the Senate blocked Obama's pick, right? So, like, yeah, and you would pick somebody that's more left-leaning. They would appoint people that would generally be a little bit more left-leaning. So you win. You're voting for the president and, by extension, a general encompassing progressive ideology. I don't know why this is so... Like, it's like, hey, why... It's like you can't micromanage 330 million people perfectly. I think... Is that, like, his expectation? Like, it seems a little weird.
Voting is pointless.
So you think that unless we have a direct democracy where we directly vote on every single policy, then
that's a democracy? Yes.
Okay. That's just not true. But I don't know.
Then why don't they let us do that? Why can't we all vote on when weed gets legal? Why do we let those fucking white people in charge pick when weed's legal?
Because we don't have the time as citizens to go to the poll and vote on every single.
Why don't they just make a voting app? Why is there not just an app?
Oh my god. Why don't we make a voting app? You want to know why? Because then everybody screaming about election fraud will be fucking correct. Never should we ever make a voting app. That's way too open to being fucking hacked in some capacity. I will never trust that. In my entire fucking life, you will never hear me be so fucking to be like, oh, should do a voting app. You're better off mail-in voting. Is exponentially safer than using an app. Are you fucking kidding me? Bro. Fundamentally, sounds nice, way too open to fucking theft. Like, way too open to it. Because I've thought the same thing. Like, yeah, why don't we have an app? It's too open to getting taken advantage of. It's not a good idea. We can't be doing that. Can't be fucking around with that shit.
Because then all the people that accuse our election system...
Fucking Harambe would win. Next year. Oh, we're going to vote online. Okay, 4chan does their thing. All of a sudden, Harambe got fucking 97% of the fucking vote. You think that's what's going to happen? Imagine that. Imagine that unironically. You think I'm fucking kidding. Imagine that happened unironically. Harambe won. You vote for Harambe? 10,000 people voted for Harambe, I think, in the last cycle or the one before that. That would be the next fucking thing that would happen. Okay? And then what do we do then? I mean, do we say, fuck, we got to change shit up? Or do we just say, I guess we got to double down now? You know, like, how far do we go? You say, yeah, I guess we got to fucking... It's got to be Harambe. So somebody gets Daniel Larson to be president. Like, it'd be insane.
They're being rigged. They're going to be 20 times more likely to accuse it of being rigged. We're all voting on a fucking app. These people don't even trust their iPhones. Not
so you trust mail-in ballots?
You think they're going to be... I trust a paper ballot more than I do a fucking phone ballot.
More than technology? In 2022, mailing in ballots is a better way to accurately get everybody to vote?
If you want to change...
It's a better way to be resistant to people hacking it or manipulating or tampering the evidence. I'm literally shitting and farting right now. I'm shitting and farting myself. This is insane.
If you want to change 1 million votes in a database, that might be a single MySQL command to do it. If you want to change a million paper ballots, do you know how many different steps of government you got to fuck with? How many different people you got to rope in to change their vote? How many people
online baking? And your whole identity is on your phone. You have online baking, your profile. It would be so easy to vote online. So easy. They don't do it because
it would be easy, but they don't do it because it's too susceptible to fucking hacking. What?
They don't care about our votes because it's meaningless.
How do you trust technology so much that you would vote for it? But then in the previous breath, you were telling me
you trusted it enough. You have a banking app on your phone. Everybody has a banking app on your phone. That's your whole money. That's your life. That's your life is on your phone.
Some things are easier to do on phones than others. Banks are easier to handle on phones than fucking voting. They have
Amber Alert. Everybody gets an Amber Alert for when kids running around.
It's a fundamentally different type of thing. Voting versus like apps for banks.
I wish Destiny would finish the thought, but he obviously keeps getting railroaded by fucking SNEAKO. So he was going to say, why do you trust technology so much when in the last breath you were criticizing how easy it is for the government to like hack your technology? The government can do what they want. They're just going to take your technology. They're going to change it. The government. It's like, okay, well then what the fuck are you trusting the government so much then in this instance? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense.
So we're never going to be able to vote on our phones? That should have been a thing since 2016. What's the reason? What's the reason?
For the reason I just told you. A single person could change a command in a database and flip 10,000 votes.
And you could also burn a bunch of mail-in ballots like what happened in the last election.
First of all, that didn't happen. But also listen to what you just said. What do you think is easier, changing 1 million votes in a database or burning 1 million ballots? 1 million paper ballots that you've got to get a hold of. How many different people need to be involved in that versus one guy fucking with the database, one engineer, one data engineer?
I mean, they're already spying on every person's phone. I feel like it's not that hard. To see.
You're proving that it shouldn't happen with that statement.
It should be us voting. If there was real democracy, it'd be like, hey, do you want weed to be legal? Yes or no? Every citizen gives their opinion and it changes. If we had real democracy...
Fundamentally, that sounds like a nice idea. The yelling doesn't really sound like a nice idea. Logistically, it'd probably be really difficult to get people to go in and vote. I think that's the argument. It's not see, this is the problem. Is also fundamentally, I don't think that what SNEAKO is saying here is like, hey, I think it would be better if we all got to vote on every single issue. I don't know if I disagree with that. I think that's something I would like potentially explore. But the thing is, he's screaming. So any decent point that he might be making, or any examination or call for examination on a topic, is dead. How the fuck do we like? Oh, okay, yeah. Because you know what? Yeah, maybe that would make sense. How would we do that logistically though? Like, how would you be able to get? No, we don't have 2 hours. This is almost over. The rest of it is stream. It's like another 2 minutes really. What was I saying before? Fuck. How would the logistics of this situation work? Like, how would you be able to make this? I don't really know. I mean, like, do you go to the vote every single day? How do you get people to actually get out and vote? How do you get them the availability to be able to get out and vote? You know what I mean? Like, should we do week-long voting? Actually, not a bad idea. Maybe we have like maybe like you would just constantly have voting polls open. It could be really expensive to do as well, though. It could be really, really, really expensive to do because now you have to have a bunch of paper ballots that are constantly happening over and over and over again, right? Because like when you vote for like here's the thing: you vote. Like, people are sitting in there to take your vote, then they're protecting it, then they have to count it, then they have to report it, then they have to count it again, then they have to report it. There's so much money that's involved. It's not a bad idea; it'll create jobs, but it might just be like from a logistical perspective, it might be too expensive for us to actually do and maintain that as like a consistent thing. That would probably be the argument against it. It's still, I think, an interesting idea to observe and explore. I'm not gonna lie about that, but like it seems like it would be a fucking logistical nightmare, right? So that's like the general argument there. But Jesus Christ.
They would ask everybody, should we be able to kill babies? Yes or no? And then everyone stops. Instead, it's a bunch of fucking white people in a room that nobody knows, and they pick for us.
You run like a YouTube channel where you talk about things, right?
Yeah.
Why? What's the point? If you think that
it's entertainment.
That's it? All of your advice is just entertainment? You don't care if people...
That feels like... okay, what you're saying right now is like you're grifting. You're just saying that you don't actually care about anything that you say or you do. You do all of it for money. That's what you're saying. I'm going to be honest with you. When I make content, there is absolutely a motivator of money, of course. I gotta pay the bills, bro. But to say that I'm saying I'm being dishonest in what I'm saying, or I don't care about what I'm saying, is silly, right? Like, just because there's a money incentive doesn't mean that people are gonna act like really poorly, right? Like, I do my best to like carry myself in a good way. I probably could have just been like a fucking partisan hack, and I probably could have made like I'm smart enough to be able to just like fucking grift for money and live in LA, you know, live in California. Or wherever I want. Maybe taxes. I could be a fucking conservative. I probably do well as a conservative grifting piece of shit. Like, you know what I mean? I think I would do excellently. Right? But I don't. But, like, you still make... You know what I mean? But, like, money's always going to be a factor in everything you do. It's like people's like, yeah, I became a nurse to help people. Oh, well, you get paid. Well, you get paid to be a nurse, so you don't want to help people. What the fuck are you talking about? A lot of people become nurses to help people. And then they realize that they get fucked royally because it's a horrible job. It's tough. No, you just don't care about that. Anytime you get paid, you just can't care about anything. Hey, I'm a fucking, like, what's something that, like, resonates with you guys? I don't know. The ice cream man. He cares about me, okay? He does. It's like, you can't just say because somebody makes money that they instantly don't give a shit about anything that they're doing. Okay? And, like, if that's that to me, it just sounds like a sell. I truly don't think that SNEAKO doesn't care. I think that he believes very heavily in his ideology, but he is so obsessed with sounding correct that he won't admit it. I think that he's so obsessed with like, no, I'm correct, that he will literally say that he is grifting for money, which I don't believe, because SNEAKO, of all things, comes off as a genuine person. But he's so obsessed with this ideology that he's willing to tell people that he just grifts for money. So,
I actually follow it or listen to it or not. That's at the
And
end of
also,
the day.
I stick to truth. I try to get
Hold
to
on,
truth.
wait, hold on.
Videos.
Truth.
I don't believe you. I don't think you
believe me?
believe yourself when you say that. When you say it's just entertainment. When you speak, you want people to listen to you, right?
Right,
You
but people don't listen unless it's funny or truthful or loud or entertaining. People don't want to listen to little.
Sure, and that can be the same with politics as well. But when you speak at the end of the day, you are exercising, whether you like the thing or not, you're exercising some kind of political power. You say things, and whether you like it or not, people are listening to you. We know people listen to us because companies pay us a fuck ton of money.
But I don't want any power. I don't want power over
You already
people.
have power. You have power right now.
But I don't try to control people's lives. I can
do.
talk to people. No, how?
Every time you open your mouth to say something, you're trying to convince people that what you're saying is true. Otherwise, you would have said, you know what, Destiny? Fine, that's your opinion. I don't give a fuck. But you do. You care. And that's good. I'm glad you care. You should. Even if I disagree with you, it's a good thing that you care. But there are people
everything
that
you say is
right
political?
now. Yeah, everything you say is influencing how people think, is influencing the way they view things. There are going to be some people that might listen to me. They're like, you know what? Destiny's right. I'm going to go fucking vote. And maybe that flips a local election. There are going to be people that listen to you and like, you know what? Fuck this shit. I'm not going to vote. They don't waste their time doing it. Like, we exercise power over people, whether we like to consider it or not. That's part of what we do. That's why we get paid money to do it, right?
True.
If people will buy shit because we tell them to, what is that if not power? Bro, people pay
He said
money.
he doesn't consider that power. Yeah, your voice can be very powerful. You can have a massive sway on people and what they say and they think. I mean, I'm not a big content creator. People reach out to me like, Papa God, I really appreciate the ABCXYZ take. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. Like, people like, you really changed my mind on this. You made me feel, think like this. You know, you definitely have like an impact on people.
Just to get audiences like we have. Like, people love the type of attention we get. You can't pay for the type of engagement that we get with our fans. Fucking celebrities will pay people will pay $50,000, $100,000 to bring a celebrity out for 30 minutes and they'll get like 2,000 fucking views, if that, right? We do this shit for free and we get buck tons of views. Like, there are a lot of people that pay for the influence that we have. You know this earlier because you were talking about how politicians pay for influence. Lobbyists pay for influence. Get in front of politicians. Politicians pay for commercials. My point is that you have power over people, whether you want to accept it or not. And as poor Uncle Ben, who's died 30 times now, said, great power comes great responsibility. You have to acknowledge when you say shit, people are going to listen to it, whether you like it or not. They're going to do shit, whether you like it or not. That's why you tell people to improve themselves. You don't just say that for entertainment. You say because I hope, because you believe in it. You want people to do it.
Right, but politicians are trying to control you. You got 3 shots in your arm and you're like, well, how old are you? You're in your 20s? You got 3 shots for something that's not going to kill you. You took off your mask when they told you to. That's control. I don't control anybody. Nobody puts a mask on or not. I don't tell them what to do with their body.
I also wear my seatbelt because companies tell me to. And I go when the light turns green. I don't think every single time the government tells me to do something that's a conspiracy. I think a lot of the times the government tells you something, it's because they probably want to keep most people happy and healthy, because if they don't, people are going to fucking revolt and shit's going to get absurdly expensive as people start filling in hospitals and dying everywhere. Not every single thing the government tells us is a bad thing, right? There's also signs that tell you not to shit or piss in a pool. I'm not going to go do it to be a rebel.
You know, I pee in the pool.
Well, you know what? I don't.
I pee in the pool.
I would. Yeah.
You pee in the pool.
Listen,
Why?
sometimes I pee in the pool. Okay?
Yeah, like, all right.
Come on, bro.
No one's watching.
That's a little too far. That's disgusting. Oh my God. People probably do. That's why they put chlorine in the pool. That's why the water tastes so good.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you get to it. It's 9 o'clock. I'm gonna start my own stream. Good talking to you, man.
Okay. Yeah, thanks a lot. It was fun. Be careful. Stay safe. Have fun. Okay.
You too, man.
Okay, cool. Nice conversation.
Woo! Fuck.
People told me after this, he polls and sees who won, and people say that he lost. So I want to see like his fucking meltdown. I'm curious.
WRL chat. What the hell?
W Destiny.
This is fucked up. Chat, this looks all fucked up for you, right?
Well.
WRL chat, do you believe in the government?
Today's
Should we
topic
get 3
is
shots in our arm? Should we vote?
Heidism refers to the discrimination of people based
Fundamentally just disagree with even believe, like, oh, the policy in the, if you look at the Section 2, Article 8.
Okay. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and another special shout out to all my Patreon and Twitch subs. If you'd like to support this channel further than you already have by just watching the video alone, go down to the links below where you can sub on my Patreon, which will allow you to get your name on this beautiful black wall. Or you can go to the Twitch page and you can actually use a free Amazon Prime sub, if you have Amazon Prime, to subscribe. Thank you very much, guys. Take care.